Dun, 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 dun. All right. Hi, Simon.
Hello. How are you?
It's another week. Another. Actually, we missed a week. We only missed one, right? We missed one or two. We missed a couple. Just one. All right. Well, cool. We missed the confusion week, the week where you and I would have had different ideas of what time of the day it was because of the crazy way that DST works in the world versus the US. And that phrase is going to come up other places recently.
Yeah, there's one thing we're not going to be talking about today, and that is what's going on in the US. That's off the cards.
So sorry. So sorry for even bringing that up.
Anyone mentions anything? It's it. They're out.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. We'll cut off their question and everything, right? So don't mention that even in the questions. Don't even bother.
If you don't know what we're talking about, it doesn't matter. So you're good.
Right. It's great. Hello, Simon.
Right. Hello.
Good morning. Good morning for me. Good evening for you.
Yeah.
And let's get started. Let's do some stuff.
So let's jump into the bit.
Do's and don'ts. Yes, the do's and don'ts. There we go. Hey, do be nice. Do be respectful, constructive while interacting, because this is not just a Reddit thread. Apparently, a few of those have been bad recently. So don't do that here. And we do have ban hammers, and we do take care of people and get them out of the way if that happens. So don't make us have to push those buttons. Don't post anything if it's adult or rude or offensive. Don't advertise. Don't promote anything. The only people who are allowed to promote things are people who are actually have their face on video. That's just a few of us. So that's not you typically. So don't do that. Don't spam. Don't post the same thing again and again and again. In particular, don't post a question and then post the exact same question 30 minutes later or 20 minutes later or 10 minutes later, because what will happen is I will delete your first version of that and put you down at the end of the queue, and then you've sort of lost your place in line. So don't do that. But just in general, don't keep saying the same thing over and over again, because we don't like that. And we got ban hammers, so don't do that. Any kind of harassment not tolerated. Again, ban hammers and all that sort of stuff. But do have a good time. I mean, we're having a good time doing this show. We're helping you to discover things that you might not have known already, and we're helping answer your questions. In doing so, of course, we get a little bit more brilliant occasionally. Sometimes, most of the time we do. Yeah, most of the time we do. And then so that's why we keep doing the show, to take care of that. I think, Simon, that covers the do's and don'ts for today.
I think so. I will also mention that if you do post a link, we don't even see a message, so don't post links. And if you want to post code, it's gist.new. If you go to that website, you can post some code on your gist, which is everyone on GitHub with the GitHub account has a gist account, and you can post some code, and then you post us the hash from the URL for your gist, and we can go find it from that. All right, let's introduce ourselves briefly. My name's Simon Lightfoot, Flutter Community Leader and CTO at Dev Angels London. And Randall, please introduce yourself.
I'm not Simon Lightfoot. No, oh yeah,
That's
I'm
true.
Randall Schwartz. On many axes. Yes, I'm Randall Schwartz. I am a Google developer expert in the area of Dart and Flutter, one of 10 in the United States. Been doing that for about 6 years now, and what that means is I get to spend a lot of my time answering questions on Stack Overflow and Reddit and not Foursquare. What the heck am I thinking Foursquare for? Reddit and
Other places.
Discord and Slack. And now there's a new forum, which we'll probably talk about a little bit later, that also gets questions. So now there's many places I have to patrol every day. A good thing they're all on one tab on my browser, so that's really nice. And I'm also the question magician for this show, which means that I wrangle your questions. So you put a question into the chat, the live chat, you put Q: in front of it, and that lets me know it's a question that is for us as opposed to a question that's for each other. So make sure you put Q: if you want us to address it. And then I mark it down so that I can read it shortly from now back to Simon so he can answer it, and the rest of us can.
Oh, the rest of us, including talking about the rest of us. Here's Danielle. There's a segue. There you go.
Hey, everybody. I am neither Simon nor Randall, so.
No,
On any axis.
it's so surprising. You look so similar.
Right? So hey everybody, I'm Danielle Cox. I am the Flutter lead for a company called Ardley, and I'm also one of the organizers of the Flutteristas. We are talking about our next conference coming up, so that's pretty cool internally. So there'll be more details on that as they come out. And yeah, so that's pretty much me.
Cool.
And we also have a John. John, welcome.
Yeah, hey, how's everybody doing?
Good.
All recovered from London last week. Well, I think Simon was the only one there, right? I don't think anybody else was over there.
Out of us, yeah.
Out of us, yeah.
So it was.
I mean, there were a lot of people there.
Yeah. I know, John, you've been to the London event before. Daniel, have you been to the London event before? I don't think you have. No, I know Randall hasn't. So yeah.
I've been to London things, but not London.
I've never been to London, but my suitcase has once.
Oh,
doesn't count unless you're in your suitcase. So for the last four-ish years, we've been doing a track at Joy-Con London just for Flutter, right?
oh.
That's had people flying all around the world to come in and come there. So it was really great. But this year, because we did the 2 Flutter cons, didn't do a track, we had the booth, but so many people came up and saying, "Where's all the Flutter stuff? Has Google stopped doing like Flutter now?" I'm like, "Oh God, what have I done?"
No,
I just didn't organize a track. Please, just don't kill me for it. Anyway, so I did find out though that there's a company here called Experian, which is like Equifax or one of the big sort of credit companies, right? What are they called?
Credit
reporting bureaus, credit bureaus,
whatever. Yeah. Sure, credit bureaus, and and they're actually using Flutter for their app. So that was,
nice.
That was interesting. And they dropped by and they're like, the whole team of them, they're like, "Where's all the Flutter stuff?" I'm like, "Oh, great." Anyway, so but no, they're nice people, and it's awesome what they're doing. So
Cool.
right.
Nice.
I mean. So the forum, that was another thing. Yeah, so at the moment, so for those that don't know, Hillel from the community, one of the I say founding members. He's been a long time. He set up It's All Widgets a long time ago, and he set up at forum.itsallwidgets.com, and that's is it discourse? I think it's discourse forum, right?
Not that course, discourse.
Yeah. So
I got to get my dad jokes in there.
It's discourse. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
he didn't do the Q joke this time. So
I didn't. I was just saving that one for a little bit later, but that's fine. Yes.
So I'll pop a link to the forum in the channel for anyone that wants to go check it out. But yeah, I mean, we might even start a Humpday topic in there, and then we can go check in for questions in there before each week or something like that. That might be a nice segue and interlude and joining together of things.
One more place that I have to look for questions.
Yay.
Yeah. Yeah, but yay, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like it's good to connect with y'all to help you out because again, as I said earlier in the show, it helps me learn more things. I learn by teaching, so it's great that I have so many opportunities to teach. Yes.
Yeah, we aren't lacking opportunities. No.
Exactly.
It is an interesting thing about learning as well, right? In terms of, I think over my career, I've had a lot of jobs going on, right? A lot of like contract gigs and everything else, and
Yeah.
each one brings its own separate set of problems in the business space as well as in the actual development space of building an app. And I'd say that each one has brought its own challenges. You learn something new from that. And the same goes when you're answering questions online or seeing other people's problems and helping to fix them, because it's something different. There's something that you would not be doing in your day to day, and therefore
Right.
you're learning something from that.
Yeah.
So I suggest everyone out there just try and help and answer questions online, right? Like try, someone's got a question. Oh, I wonder how to do that. Spin up a quick sample project, whack it in and see what happens, right? Try and figure the problem out and learn something along the way.
I found that about a quarter or to a third of the questions that I read, I don't even have a clue about the answer. And that's useful for me to know, to gauge kind of my ability to master this. Because I think when people say, how long does it take to learn Flutter? My only answer ever is the rest of your life. And because there's never a day when I'm not learning something new about Flutter or about mobile development or about user interface or something. That's always like a continuous.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound great when you say it like that. It's like only the rest of your life. Don't worry, it's a small amount of time.
But that's true
forever.
There is no mastery without committing for the rest of your life.
I'm renovating my house, right? I'm renovating the house.
Yep.
And everyone I speak to about it is like, don't worry, it's never finished, so you just keep doing it forever. And I'm like, oh God, please don't. No.
It's true though. Nobody who ever starts tinkering with their house ever finishes. Come on. Anyway, so that's good.
Right. Shall we get with some questions? I think
we got 11.
Yeah.
We have 11 in the queue already. So let's go ahead and start pushing some buttons here.
And we have we'll do some live coding as well. So
okay.
If you have a little bit of live coding later on, if you've got something you want to see live coded, mention that in put Q in front of it, mention it in the thing, and then we'll have a look at it. Oh, look, in fact,
the very first one mentions the words live coding session. HTTP 1.2 server with upload, download file endpoint during live coding session. Didn't we just finish that last week?
So last week we started doing HTTP2 stuff, and then we couldn't get it done in time, so we decided to park it. No, it was a week before last. I in fact found the bug in that, and I'm going to tell everyone about it because it's super stupid. It's like it's always is. It's like where's the semicolon or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will definitely pick that one up. Let me.
Shall we take it out of the queue and just remember it, or is it?
I'm just gonna make a quick note here. Hang on, I don't have that in my list. So bear with me. When was that posted? What time was that posted?
Early. Let's see. Why?
Oh
wait. Are these still in? These are still in last month.
Yeah, this happened to us. This happened to us a couple weeks ago. We had the questions from the week before. We're still showing up.
Well, you can still finish this up. I don't know. Just don't refresh because you might lose
everything. Nobody here remembers this because nobody here asked this. It's
the first question I see is the gist.
Yeah, right. So let's.
I don't even have that.
Well,
so yeah.
Okay. So there's this question, which Simon is quickly typing in. There's this question also from last show. Follow up for pop scope nested now.
We solved that.
We did that one. Yeah,
that one. That one definitely can go away. This is the first question this time.
Yes.
I don't.
First one I see.
Well, I don't have that in my list, so someone's gonna have to send me the hash because.
It should be in the chat.
I'm putting it in private.
I put it in the private. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, cool.
John beat me to it.
I think your error's on line 35 based on that.
Say sorry for spamming it.
How dare you?
Yes.
Right.
Right. Right. Okay. So Simon's looking that up, and I don't know what to do until Simon.
Well, what's
keeps
the next
talking.
question? Let's find a
Oh, I
new one.
guess we can move ahead. Yeah, sure. So, hello. Have you guys heard of a package named Flutter Modular? It's popular in Brazil, but I don't quite see it anywhere in the world. Is there a particular reason for that? You got to be other places in the world, I guess.
Yeah. If you don't go someplace else,
If you-
you wouldn't know.
If you went to Mexico or say Canada, maybe you'd see it. I don't know. I don't know how to answer this question. Flutter
this one?
Modular. What is Flutter?
So Flutter mod, yeah, I went and looked at it. I'd say it's similar to
The
what's
block?
it called?
What?
No,
Yeah.
no, it's
Next.
for which?
Oh, no, Mason. Is it
Um,
Mason with bricks? That one.
What's it like?
Go over and take a look.
No, yeah, I'm trying to think of what the
Small project dependency structure. What?
yeah, it's basically when you want to create your app, but create it as smaller modules and then load them up, have like one main package that then loads in the other stuff as needed. You know, modularizing your app.
So they did that with Mason blocks, but that was like templating and building a project.
Yeah.
Looks interesting. There's a shelf modular as well.
Yeah.
So it's like a plugin. Is it a plugin architecture?
You want to share, Simon? You got it up. You want to share?
Sure. Yeah.
So this is why it isn't popular. They aren't giving good press. If you got good press, we would be using it.
Mm-hmm.
Dead air. Dead air. Here we go.
There we go.
There we go. Yay. Flutter Modular.
Modular proposes to solve two problems: modularizing roots, modularizing dependency injection. Typical MVC. Rectify by scope, yeah.
It solves a problem I haven't.
It still doesn't really explain what it does.
Right.
It's explaining the problems that it still has to explain what modular is. It's saying how you can better divide things up and different approaches, but it's not saying it does that. And this is just a file structure. In short, here we go. This should be TLDR.
Yeah.
Modular is a solution to modularize the route dependency injection system, making each scope have its own route and injections independent of the factor in the structure. We create objects into groups, the routes and injections, and we call them modules. See that paragraph should be here at the top.
Great.
It's that simple. And then again, it should probably be over here in the description as well.
Yeah.
Come on.
So the reason we're not using it is there's a doc problem. So as soon as the doc problem gets fixed, maybe we can figure this out.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea to.
I mean, it's still. I mean, why also? Sorry to cut in. I tell you, I just look at this. Where's the big code block? It shows me what this does, or how I implement it, or what's the magical thing about why I would use it. Because so far, zero of this is saying it should be that. Literally, the first thing should be it does this, right? And then here's a code snippet showing you all the reason what you could be doing and how you can do it. And then you can explain the problem, sure, but this is like a write-up on like why you would want to use modular, right? This should be why you should use modular, not what it is.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I love the idea of trying to create something, maybe composable, which is kind of what this looks like it's trying to do.
Yeah.
But I agree. I see nothing in here that convinces me that it does do it. and how how much work am I taking out if I do this? What's happening?
I mean, look, this is already like the very first page of the docs already explains more to me. Yeah, so like it explains use this core. It's inspirations from Angular. Starting your project, add the modular. Then you can use a modular app to kind of start things off, and you pass in, I guess, your modules and your child widget. So look, oh god, that's a bad code highlight. Binds routes. That might be I've got a browser extension which makes things dark, so maybe it's that. It's probably meant for the dark mode, and they didn't do a theme for the light mode. So.
Yep.
I'm still not convinced I'm seeing this right. So look, you create a module, it gives you R for route. So modular app basically takes over all the top level app responsibilities, which may or may not be what you want, right? Because it's really hard to extend. I don't know what the we can have a good look at what the parameters are on this, right? But you got R to add a route. I mean, I can just do that in my own app. I'm not seeing a benefit to that right now. I mean, you could literally make sorry, I'm just thinking about this. You could literally, if you want to break your app into modules, you could literally make an interface that has binds and routes, and then you give it the list when it starts up, and then inside your material app or when you initialize your widget, just loop around the list and call this function, and you've done it. The same thing about registering all the routes, right? Like, I'm not seeing like. I mean, look, I'm not going to lie. I haven't gone into great detail, but
Oh, look, the motivation is not obvious at this point. It's true, and
so it has an app widget that you pass into it.
Oh,
but then you get given a no.
What?
Why?
Yeah, I bet. Oh,
why? Why do you have a static top level? What happens if I want to switch out my modular app? I have two modular apps. No. I mean, it's literally just to avoid passing this is a function. You could just have this as a builder that gives you the modular instance, and then you pass that to your widget, right? Like, what? It's like one level. It's not. You're passing a parameter. Like what? So app constructor by reference here as the builder. Like what?
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so this is why we don't use it more in the rest of the world.
Look again.
What? Oh yeah.
Modular set navigation key, modular set observers, modular set initial route. I mean, this is where it fails. This is where it fails for me.
Is it similar?
We don't vote 5 stars for this, so we vote only maybe 1 star.
I'm still not even sure. Like, bind doesn't like what? Why don't I have to write this one?
Do something like Mellows, but at a different level. I mean, it seems like it's.
No, I think it's just so you can build your app into blocks, like this kind of modular level, so you can turn on and off functionality, maybe feature flags or something like fun like that. But like, it's doing it with routes, which is fine. I guess that makes sense. You want to turn off a section, the routes don't. The thing is, I hardly ever use routes in this way, right? I mean, if it's web, it's different, but.
Yeah,
we're not saying that, but yeah. I mean, we're just gonna set the initial route every single time build runs because that's the only place you can call it.
Right.
See, look, like I'm misunderstanding what bind does at this point. Like, there's not been one example of bind.
Right.
If the author of this package is in the chat, please let us know, and we'll try to be more kind.
It's probably the person that sent the message, and now they're devastated. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But, you asked for their opinion, and we're giving you their opinion.
Well, the thing is, the third party asked for the opinion of this other thing, so it's a little weird.
Okay. So binds is their like global injection framework. So you add singleton. So this module can export these, but these are constructors. They're not instantiated in here, so that's kind of defeats the purpose. I guess, how does this hold on to an instance of it then? You know what? I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a done deal. It's
I
a
don't-
done deal.
It's an interesting. Don't go wrong. It's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just-
Fascinating idea. Fascinating idea. Please keep investigations like that in the privacy of your own cubicle. But yeah,
I see room for improvement.
Yeah.
See, don't get me wrong. It's interesting, right? But I'm
sure.
yeah.
It's interesting. Let's go back to the gist because somebody is pinging us now. Look at the gist. Let's look at the
animation
gist.
for nearly marked. Oh, so this was posted in Twitter. I think the author, if he's in the chat, posted this in Twitter to me. And I said, "Oh, come on the next week's show," and then we did do the week. So sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily, you're here this week. So yeah, what I'll do, I'll copy this down into a project, and then we'll try and run it and see what it's about.
Okay,
so yeah,
is this part of our live coding then? So
yeah.
Moving on. All right, next question then.
Stick around the show. We'll do it later.
Next question is going to be a bit of a discussion. Do we really want to get into this? Do we
literally the amount of people that came up to me at the conference?
Yeah,
I can imagine. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Okay, but let me ask you this: do you understand the frustration that's led to this?
Oh yeah, I mean, I understand it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
But equally, I think it's I've got no problem with there being a fork. In fact, I think it's great for the community to have a fork.
Yeah.
I just like there's forks of tons of open source projects, right? And then people are like, is it going to lead to division in it? And it takes a lot to run a fork and all this. I'm like, sure. Let's see what happens. I mean, like who cares? Like, it's not there yet. Tomorrow, like, it literally could do nothing, and then next month it's like, oh, we're going to shut it down because no one's done anything, right?
And even Matt says that.
Yep.
Even Matt says if people don't follow up with it, it's going to die. I mean, I'm probably out of this group. I'm probably the closest to Matt, and we did talk about it some. And I mean, so just for anybody that doesn't know, the idea is there's going to be a fork of Flutter that's going to have different people adding to it. And the hope would be that stuff gets added quicker, that it would get added to the Flutter repo, and hopefully would then be able to, maybe after it being seen in the real world, once the code's all done, tried out, whatever, they'll be able to get the people they need to get it to land in the Flutter repo. And so the hope would be that you need something, quick that you can, faster than would happen normally. You could do it. You could use Flock to build your app with this fix in it. But the idea would not be that it's going to stay as a, you would stay with Flock forever. The idea would be hopefully that whatever is causing us to get back to Flutter at some point. That's the idea. I don't know that I don't know that I buy it. And if anybody's drink the Matt Carroll Kool-Aid, it's me. But I don't know if I buy this, to be honest.
To be honest, I don't particularly mind the idea. In fact, me and Matt had a good chat about it in FlutterCon USA.
Mm-hmm.
What I kind of care about is that it was used under Flutter. It was under the Flutter Foundation GitHub group, just turned out no in the domain. And I was like, I've been talking about this for ages, trying to sort it out. And then it's like, no one asked me. And then boom, I'm like, to me, it should have been named flock.dev,
Sure.
Been under Flock. But that, to me, that's the only thing I've got gripe with at the moment. But you know what? I think the other side of it maybe is how it's been approached, right? Because I think Matt is, for those that don't know Matt is he's come on the show before. He's a very direct person.
Yeah.
He talks matter-of-factly and very directly.
I was wondering how you would define that. That's good. I like that. I like that one.
Same as, I think that I would say the same about Luke Pighetti as well. They're great, and you need those contrary opinions. You don't need people to say yes all the time, right? You need people to challenge the perceptions that you have, so you can come up with new concepts and perceptions, right?
Right.
Totally fine with me, right? That's not it. It's more about that.
Matt is crazy smart. He can back up everything he says.
And what I find interesting, what I find interesting is just because people that don't know Matt, when he replies in a text form on a message, they look at that and they can feel like almost like put off because he's not said, I take your opinion on board, but I'm going to do it like this. That's the nice way of putting it. People say, we're doing it like this. It's very direct, right? But, it gets the point across. So, okay. Yeah.
I will say a very positive outcome has come from this, but the damage that's also been caused at the same time is not zero. So let me describe both of those. One is that, and the sun is the annual part of the year where it actually hits me right during taping this show. Okay, so I have a tiny little 2x1 window, and it's now shining at
Let it
me.
land on your head, and you'll just look like you've
I'll get my hat out so I can put my hat on to be able to see. Anyway, so there's two things. There's two things out of here. One is that it has kicked in the hiney the people who were involved with accepting patches from the community and trying to smooth that process out. We're working on that. We're having discussions about making that a smoother process so that patches of what people want to get in can get in a bit easier. But so that's a plus. That's definitely a big plus. The minus, and this is so sad again, because I'm spending a lot of my day every day patrolling all these social media places where people are asking questions about Flutter and expressing opinions about Flutter, is that on multiple channels I have seen, this means the end of Flutter. Now, given that story pops up every week anyway, for no apparent reason, this is just more fuel for the fire for that. And I think in that way, I think getting that first point out could have been done without triggering this second point that's very important, which is that people are a little more concerned about Flutter if Flutter already has to fork. And that is a false assumption at this point. But
the thing is, there's literally 2,000 forks already from people in the community. Like, it's because this one's got a brand and it's named it. Like, what?
Well, there are a couple of forks that are actually legit forks too. I mean, most of those are people. If you make a change, you've got to fork it to do it. But the thing I would say, the question I would kind of ask on that, Randall, kind of based on what you were saying there, is if he hadn't been controversial and direct and cause an impact when he did it, would the first part of that have happened still, or would he have just been ignored?
I think he could have asked in a different way. I don't recall the things he was concerned about being brought up in our forums, our backside forums. I don't recall those being brought up at all, like zero. And that means he didn't communicate well about his concerns.
If you want to talk about the flood team, I'll give you some of my points on this as well about these patches, right? Around this, right? Because I've always said this, like, it's not like I've put patches into the repo. I know how difficult it is to get a patch to land, right? And it is a challenge. It's a large open source project, multiple platforms. There's lots and lots, and we'll get there in a second, but there's lots and lots. So that's another point that's brought up, which we'll get to in a second. I know the one you're talking about.
As it should be. That's all I want to say is as it should be. It should be.
Yeah, as it should be. Yeah. But I think the point here is if you want like community contribution from open source, there's only so many hours in the day, right? Open source, a lot of it is out of the goodness of someone's heart. If they find a bug, they resolve the bug. They can't then just be spending 6 hours making it make sense to your way of working, right? So that is, to me, this doesn't make sense. If they want to, here's the issue, here's the fix, you go integrate it. That to me is very valid. If there's team members in Flutter that all their job is to work with open source contributors and integrate their patches into, write the tests, make sure it works inside their timeline of events, everything like that. That is the business of the open source repository that you're committing to, right? To me, if someone's come and found an issue that's not been, and they've fixed the issue, brilliant. That's a contribution. You should be accepting that. And it may land in the future, but then it needs to be taken out of the hands of the original contributor. Right now, the problem is you get asked to essentially own the contribution, right? And then you write truthfully, the guidelines are you write is it CLA, which is you give up all rights to it because obviously it's going to have to which is fine. That's the agreement you sign when you're contributing. But the other point of this is that once you've done that, it's also you have to maintain it essentially, right? You have to be available. It doesn't always work that way in open source, but yeah, basically, I think it says somewhere in there if questions come up or you need to be able to be available to answer them, basically, something like that.
Right.
Which is yes, I understand them or no. It depends on like the contribution, right? The other thing is like I was talking to last Friday. Was it last Friday? Yeah, last Friday. I was at part of the DroidCon London was T3, which is tech leaders. What was it called? I'm going to get ripped for not remembering what this T3 stands for. Anyway, tech leaders conference. Anyway, we had like CTOs, engineering leads, VPs from all around businesses across London, right? All in this one place, and we were and this topic came up as well, to me because I talked about Flutter, of course. And all the other people that are doing open source were saying, yeah, what happens is someone will come along and say, here's this new feature I made for your product. It's like, great, it's not in our roadmap. We're not interested in adding that,
Right?
And equally, we now have to support that, which we're not willing to do. Like, it might be a huge change. Or even worse, if someone contributes something and say, oh, I didn't like your directory structure, so I've decided to reorganize everything for you. It's like, what? Right? And again, right. So there's well-intended, contributions, but they can never be accepted, right?
Right.
It's just not going to land. Full stop. That's just not going to happen, right? So I think, from my point of view, there's two things: if ownership of integration can be done by the team, Flutter team, and then second of all, if there's a somewhat of a monthly meeting, which is with the contributors to say this is what we're planning to work on. If someone could bring up their point and say, oh, I want to do this, right? I mean, you can do this in a ticket, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's always consistently changing, right? Like these projects. So if it's open source, it's really hard to develop in open source and still be open source, right? Like they are different things. But equally, that's the. Go on. Sorry, I'm just.
Yeah, that's okay. I wanted to quote a couple of people that I've seen on some of the more private places we've done that. I don't want to name their names because I don't have permission to quote them. But one of them said, in my opinion, the issue boils down to it is order of magnitudes faster to find poor workarounds to a problem than to try to contribute a fix to Flutter.
Ooh, yeah.
And he said, I could spend 3 to 4 months of constant back and forth with the team to maybe fix one problem that's been bothering my packages for a long time, or I could spend that time to release multiple high-value features for my packages. And then another name that you also would know that I'm not going to say because I don't have a quote is, I've been working on a project as part of a Google contract in my own personal repo, and it's been heaven. I'm about to move it to the Flutter org, subject to the limited number of reviewers, and I admit that I'm dreading it. Not for Flutter level of dread, but still. So I mean that's just kind of I think these people were not part of Matt and Jesse and whatever, but this conversation came up when people were talking about, well, why would we even do this? And so, I mean, I think it's an important thing to do. I think we're far enough along now that we need to have conversations like this, and frankly, it will give people like Matt's Flutter bounty hunters maybe a way to actually implement features that couldn't happen yet. I've not seen him mention this at all as part of that, but I mean, I look at that and I'm thinking, well, now it's got a place to land. If the And the other thing that's kind of important about this is the fact that they are planning on keeping this up to date daily with merging in Flutter with it. And if they can keep that up, then this has got some real powerful possibilities for doing things that are outside the normal range, but that are outside also of what a package could do. And then
it's really, yeah.
Sorry. But everybody has been banging on the way he's brought it up and the way he's doing stuff more than what it really is, for sure.
For those that don't know, keeping a divergent fork up to date is absolutely crazy. It is super difficult, and I would not wish it on anyone.
Well, they're building to hopefully do this, and those tools people are really excited about. Actually, people are upset about Flock or happy about the tool. Yeah.
The tools is a good thing, and the thing is, I don't know how well I could sell that. I'm hello customer, I'm going to put you on a divergent fork of Flutter in your production app. I don't know how well I could sell that. I can sell that Google is shepherding the core pretty well, but I'm not sure I could sell them on. We're going to switch to this side path for a while.
I'm gonna disagree with you there. Well, I see your point, but equally, no, I see your point, but equally, I'm going to disagree because most of them don't actually care, right? I'll be honest, most, but they don't. As long as the app's made, right? As long as the end product does what they say it does, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And the other one is anyone that's using Shorebirds using a different version of the engine in the fork.
The same thing, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And like and no one cares, right? Like
I don't hear anybody say I'm not going to use Shorebird.
I'm not using Shorebird anywhere yet, so maybe
I haven't used it. But are you saying you would not be willing to because it's a fork?
I'm just saying it's a harder sell.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you need to sell it anymore. I mean, if your client was the actual thing was a package or a library, that's something completely different, right?
Yeah,
like it's technical, right?
Well, I mean,
but then if it's an end user product.
Randall and I are old enough to remember when you couldn't use MySQL in a project. You had to use something. That you had to use Oracle or Informix or Ingress or something because they were official packet. There was a company behind them versus something open source. I mean, am I correct on that, Randall?
I'll use a more direct experience that when we published the first Perl book, all of a sudden I had people emailing me saying, now I can use this language called Perl because there's a book about it. Like somehow that changed the nature of the language.
I'm gonna say something here. I wonder how many Java Spring. Remember that?
Yeah.
Spring, and also Glassfish. Is it Glassfish? Was it called Glassfish? Goldfish. Pardon me.
Something fish.
Java. It was basically it was the massive platform for basically running Java in the back end. Like you would be using those two things like every project.
Okay.
Anyway, the bottom line is if you don't want to use Flock, don't use Flock. If you have reason to want to use it or to contribute it or whatever, it might be a nice place to do that. Like I said, Matt is one of the smartest people I know. And so you don't have to agree with him, but if you understand him, you will be a better everything programmer wise.
Yeah, and you definitely won't agree with him on everything.
Yeah.
That's guaranteed.
But as long as you can understand it, it makes you better.
Yeah.
Because he has reasons for everything.
Yes.
Yes. So but like I said, if you don't want to use it, don't use it. I think all of us here have some doubts on the viability of it. And I think even Matt does. I think Matt's saying if we can't get enough people doing it, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, then it's going to die on the vine anyway. And that's okay.
So if it's not, I think it requires critical mass to get behind it. That's one thing. And second of all, it is going to require some of those things that are in the fork landing in the main repository. Because I can tell you right now, the further and further all the changes go into that fork, the harder and harder it is to keep it up to date. For those that just listening, just to explain this, just imagine that the Flutter team, they don't announce this, but they've decided they're going to rearrange entirely the way widgets work, right? Now you've got all this code that's built on top of widgets, right? They're all going to break, right? So you now need to rewrite all that code to make it work on the new latest version of Flutter. This would not be good. That's why they don't do that, right? But my point
is no safety.
As more stuff changes in the fork, it becomes harder and harder to patch that and keep that up to date because you have to understand the reasoning behind the changes that are made in the main repo and the reasons behind what code changes are made in that fork to combine the two things together.
Now, I think for part of what they may be doing is they may be actually namespacing some of these things that they're doing, so that your imports and stuff would be Flock, not Flutter. In which case, I would think that once something landed in Flutter, they could deprecate the Flock and get rid of it, as time goes by. So, I mean, there may very well be some good strategies for this. But I mean, if I made changes to the text widget and they refactor the text widget, now I've got to figure out, what changes did I make? How am I going to get those? How do I still need these in the refactored version or things like that? And that's going to require people, not tools. and if you don't like Simon said, if there's not a critical mass of people that are willing to go in and help try to handle this, but at the very least, it's going to delay you. You're not going to have the automatic that day's release in automatically. So hopefully that would still work for stuff. But I mean, maybe patches could be delayed that way. I would, like I said, if you're all interested, help out.
I'm going to draw a line here because we've been talking about this a long time. There's lots of questions about it. I think what we should do is talk to Matt and get him on the show, and we can and Jesse and actually have like a proper show around this, right? That's the answer.
Well, I just think even if all that comes out of it is Google revamping their processes, right?
Yeah,
to make things a little bit less friction. Is a win, right? Even if the if flag goes away.
I mean, I appreciate the conversation we've had over the last few days amongst the insiders, about that sort of stuff. I do want to say that I participated in something like this 20 years ago, 15 years ago, when the Squeak Smalltalk system, which had been around for a long time and had been basically the blessed daughter of the child of the standard Smalltalk distribution. Some people said, I want to make some changes, but the core team that was in charge of sort of maintaining the integrity of the system said, no, we don't want those changes. So they ended up forking Squeak to become Pharaoh. And what's weird is over time, Pharaoh has diverged enough that now you can't write for both. You're basically stuck deciding, do I want to write for Squeak or do I want to write for Pharaoh? And Pharaoh has completely eliminated their history. They aren't telling anybody that they came from Squeak. And it's a little sad because they have a history that they really ought to incorporate somewhere. I mean, it'd be weird if all of a sudden Flock decided to stop saying, originally this was a project at Google, No, it'd be a little weird. So anyway.
Right, we're getting off this topic. Thank you very much for the question.
I've got to hop on another call in about 10 minutes. I think I'm going to go ahead and go grab something. I think I'm going to hop on. I'm looking at the questions coming up. I don't think I have much to add. So,
all right. Thank you for joining us, Danielle. See you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Yep. Cool. Next is I push this button here. How about this button? This button says, what could be your approach towards implementing micro apps?
What's a micro app?
I have no idea.
A small app, obviously, but is anything because my approach is just write an app.
Yeah.
And don't make it big.
If you're talking about that thing where in a web thing you can have like services that each occupy their own sort of DOM space or whatever, you don't do that with Flutter. It's not the way to make that work. You just pull in libraries and you put widgets up from the libraries.
I'd really like you to maybe reiterate your question with some key points so we can maybe understand what your terminology is here, but
a longer question would be handy. All right, let's move on. Any good open source projects made in Dart and Flutter to boost your skills? There are millions of open source Dart and Flutter coding.
There's
Google.
Flutter.
Google will help you. Yes. Yes, right. Flutter itself, right? But so here's a couple things. In fact, we already mentioned it today. All widgets, something. It's all widgets.
Yeah.
It's all widgets.com, I think it is. Has a search engine where you can click open source and then just say search for everything. And it gives you all the open source things that it links to. And those will all have their sources exposed for you to learn from and adapt from. I do actually recommend as part of your acquiring of expertise about Flutter that you look at all the code you can find, because it's important to understand and recognize good implementations, but it's also important to be able to recognize, that's going to be a problem when you start refactoring it this way or whatever, because those are skills. Those are useful skills as you're coding your own stuff. In that sense, learning to program, and particularly learning to program a particular language and framework like Flutter, is that it is an act of art which requires studying the masters, studying other people's work, so that you can adapt and adopt that and create from that base. And so, yes, definitely check out all the open source software that you can. Definitely.
That last question, he's thrown a couple of follow-ups into the chat.
Oh, I should go pull those up then, huh? If I push
He's
this
saying
button.
he's a small Flutter app running in another Flutter app, or that one there. Yeah, the idea to have that Flutter app that
Stick in
can
a
launch
folder.
other instances.
No, you don't want to do this. No.
I mean, no, I've seen this before. Like where you have like
plugins and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, or you just build sections like an app that is built from other apps, which is fine. I mean, you can install and uninstall, just doesn't work, right? So
Yeah.
you do it at source code level. You're now trying to do it at plugin level. Dart's compiled. It just doesn't. Most apps you can't do this with, right?
Right.
So put it this way, let's say Ewan, let's say you've got one of the apps uses I don't know, the flow widget, right? The rest of the apps don't use the flow widget, right? The main app does not use the flow widget. So you compile the main app, it does not include the flow widget because it wasn't compiled with it, right? Now you want to go install one of these other apps as part of it. Well, the flow widget's not there. So what's it going to do? It's going to crash, right? It won't even compile because it doesn't have the code for it, right? Like, do you see what I mean?
Right.
Like from that level, it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
If you want to have something which is done at the part time, where you're basically assembling, you're just writing scripts to assemble code together, present in like a main app which lets you choose from them, and then you compile it, right? And you can do that and automate that, but you're not going to be doing it at runtime, right? Which is the difference, like when the app is executed. So what you could do, and here's the other thing, is you could make an app that manages installations of other apps independently, and then when you tap on an icon from that app, it launches the other one. That's just a launcher, right? And that's basically what your home screen is on Android. It just says, oh, here's an icon, tap on it, and launches the other app, right? It's not an app of apps, right? It's not combined, they're separate, right? It just launches the other app. And you could do that kind of thing with Flutter, no problem. And in fact, you could manage install and uninstall by just a list of them and where they are, right? I mean, like, so yeah, have a think about what you're trying to achieve, and maybe we can help a bit more.
And you don't want to duplicate anything that the vendors are already providing in terms of app installation, arrangement, deletion, that sort of stuff, because the vendors hate that and they will reject your app. You know, they don't want you duplicating anything they're already presuming to provide. And so definitely be aware of that.
Yeah, it depends on you say vendors, you mean like the stores. They may actually have policies against doing that because you're becoming an app store inside the app store.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Right. Definitely. All right. Next one. Let's just go on. That one's beaten to death. How is a remote job market like Flutter from nowadays? How to crack
sorry.
What's remote from where?
It was 2 questions ago. Someone was asking about skilling up on Flutter, right?
I didn't see it.
I think there was one about like how to like learn better Flutter. I just wanted to post this. You can go to roadmap.sh/Flutter, and that will give you like a learning guide so you can go upskill. Sorry, I just wanted to. I forgot to post it. Sorry. Anyway, back to
this. Cool. All right. Cool. There's a roadmap. Oh yeah, but how's the remote job market? What do you mean by remote? Because are you? Where's remote for you? Are you in the U.S. looking at outside markets, or are you in Pakistan looking for U.S. markets or something? I don't know. We can't know what remote means.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely seeing more remote options. A lot of them are contract work. I've hit a few that were, full-time remote possibilities.
So remote has become a lot more open in the world since COVID for obvious reasons, right? And then there's also companies out there that realize they don't actually need an office because everyone can work from home and it doesn't cost them out of pocket, to run an office and all the things that come with that.
Yeah.
So there's definitely more of a remote job market in general, right?
Yes.
Most
Yes.
development jobs can be remote if the smaller the jobs there are, and it's the big corporates that would normally have you coming into their offices. Again, this varies, and the chance of you being a more skilled laborer, as a more skilled developer, then there's more chance that you're going to be able to work remote, right? Because they can trust you more. They know that you're going to do the job that you're being given, right? I think you're talking about cracking a remote job as a senior Flutter developer. This all depends on market, right? So it depends on the let's say, I guess, product market fit, right? So this is all about the fact that you need to find a company that needs a senior Flutter developer that is looking for someone to work remote, maybe in your same time zone. Like it all kind of permeates. I think you can find that perfect job that meets your required criteria, that what you're looking for, if you try hard enough. But yeah, again, there'll be certain things that are going to be out of purview, right? There'll be like a bunch, like, for example, a US company may only want to employ US people working remotely in the US. So like someone in like Chicago working for a company in New York, that's fine. That's remote working, and they're like, that's perfectly fine for them. But working with someone maybe in India where the time difference is so big, they're like, no, right? So it really is dependent on the company and what you think and what positions you're trying to fill,
Right.
and what they're open to. So I think just keep searching, try and find the one you're looking for. Equally, be satisfied when you find something that also works close to you. That isn't.
Yeah.
Build up your skill, build up your background, and then you'll be offering yourself with more experience, and they'll be like, oh, actually, this guy, he's 6 hours out of our time zone, but actually, look, he's got 6 years of experience. Wow, he would be really helpful or 5 years or whatever it is on our role. I'm not going to choose him over the person that's going to dial in from Chicago, right? Like that might even be a thing, right? So
when I talked to one last week or 2 weeks ago, I can't remember when I talked with them, but they were looking for somebody local in California, and ended up telling me that they were opening it up to remote because they couldn't find what they were looking for local. So they decided they'd be just fine having somebody that could do the job remotely and not require them to be local. So that's happening too.
I have to say that from the beginning of COVID, I pretty much have worked entirely remote. I haven't had an on-site assignment for a while. And many of them have been US, so it's US time zones, and it works really nice. I'm in the US too, West Coast, US. And because I'm on the West Coast, it makes things like the UK and Europe in general a bit lengthy in terms of time gap, because it's like 6, 7, 8 hours, 8 hours from me to Simon, for example. And so I found those gigs to be harder to manage and maintain, just because what happens is I get a question at noon my time, and it's got to go into hit their email. Then they'll see that at midnight my time. And so there's this awesome 1 day delay for every end of each conversation. It's tough to do. It's doable, but it is tough to do and requires a lot more independence.
I refuse to do that with any content anymore. It's just too much.
Yeah.
It slows them too much down. You need a couple amount of overlap, at least 5 hours in a work day.
Yeah. Right.
I think for something to be worth it. I remember working for LG in Korea, South Korea, and that was also another time gap thing, right? Because it was our 7 o'clock in the morning was there like 5 p.m. I think it was like that.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, there was like an hour. There was about an hour a day. We actually got to communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made and if it was over that, we were working up crazy early to like work out more hours to overlap, or they're working extra late to overlap, right? Like it just doesn't work.
Welcome to my world.
And we had one project.
Welcome to the new world of global internet.
we had great project. I had a great project back when I was still doing Perl, and I'm an expert in Perl, like super expert. one of the top dogs in Perl, but they had thousands and thousands of line of poorly constructed Perl code that wasn't commented at all. And so the only thing I could do was kind of dive into the code a little bit, and then I go, and then I would send email to the guy who had taken the code over from the original developer who had left. So he didn't know everything all the time either. And we had like a 1 hour overlap because this was Eastern Europe. And so it was like a 1 hour overlap that we could actually converse together. That was at the end of his 8 hour day. So of course he's ready to go home, you know. You don't want to do that. The globe is round, and the sun comes up at different times for all of us. So
next question.
That's just the way it works. Yeah. All right, moving on. I'm new to the whole testing thing. Any sources, roadmaps, recommendations to share? Was this the one you were getting the roadmap out for?
No, but there's a roadmap in the chat that you could use.
Scroll up a bit. It's right there.
Where is it? VGV did a great, I think it was a 10-part testing series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Blog posts. I checked those out.
Yep.
I mean, I've done a whole that's on dev camps, that's private.
Testing is good and nobody does it. That's just my observation.
Everyone should strive for good testability and good testing.
Yeah.
If you don't strive, you get 0. Right? What you want to do is strive, because then you'll get some. Right. You get something, and something is better than nothing. And the amount of times that I've seen tests save my bacon when you make some code change, you go, oh, you know, wait, those tests fail. Why those tests fail? Oh, it's because of that. It's like you can't think of everything at once, right? So yeah, definitely consider learning testing. If these are people not the OP here, but the anyone watching is like, yeah, consider. And it sounds super boring, but trust me, it's super good to know how to do testing. Super important to do testing.
Right.
Yeah. Now more than ever, because you move so quick. Things move so quickly in terms of coding and developing. If you don't get those tests in there, they never get in there, and you're going to be regretting it.
For projects I'm on, I'm often brought in the middle of a project, and hopefully they're like trying to get it to market. So they're really pushed for time and everything, and then want me to make a change, and it's like I don't feel comfortable making changes unless they've written a test suite around the areas that I'm changing, because I don't know that I'm breaking some assumption somewhere else deep in the code.
It's one of those sad things, right? I think on every project, anything that moves fast at the start, that's MVP, it's like tests just go out the window, right? Like, because
so sad.
You just can't, like, they just don't have the time, you know, to add 50% more time to your project to do the testing. It's just not practical. And that's maybe being generous about the time, to be honest, right? Like it is,
right.
You know, it's like this. It's like, I think I was saying this, actually coming back to contributions, like you can make a change to the Flutter. I think I was making a change the other day. It was like a 10-minute change. I spent like 4 hours writing tests. I mean, you know, like that's not 50% anymore. That's way more than 50%. So it's like, but I mean, that's artifact. I think if you start testing on your project from day one, you're in a way better position going forward. Even if you don't maintain it, you're still in a way better position than coming in and testing artifact, because the code may not be written to be testable. And that's one of the reasons why we talk about dependency injection and how you write code, how you make it modular. This is not just about clean architecture, but this is also puts you in a better position for later on to be able to test those components. Anyway,
John has a couple of URLs in the chat about
I mean, it's the code labs, the cookbook, which are good resources, and then the VGV blog series. So
I can probably copy that.
I will put them in
Simon,
the chat.
Just put them in the chat.
Yep. I will share said links.
Yeah, I think those are good resources to get started.
And while you're doing that, I want to say we're at the top of the hour. I think we've got enough questions to last at least another 45 minutes to an hour. So we're going to cut off questions now. and keep moving forward with the list and try to whittle the list down and get some live coding in towards the end. So let's continue on past testing. Here we go. Can your app react to multiple area tap and touch? Tap with 4 fingers.
Yeah. So basically, can you detect when multiple taps have occurred?
Yes.
Yes. So what part of the gesture recognizer has that attribute? Is it like multiple tap?
Yeah, we'll show you in a second here.
Yeah.
Let me get these links because I'm
okay. All right. Yeah. So cool.
Yeah, the 3 links have been posted. So they've got the Very Good Ventures testing series.
Yep.
And the cookbook for testing and the collabs for testing.
Yep.
Nice. That's a good range, that is, yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. So John. Oh, John's a long time viewer. Hey, John.
Yeah. Johan, I would say.
Yeah.
Is it John? No, oh sorry, Johan. Sorry. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm reading it wrong.
More letters. There's an extra letter in there.
He's just ignoring that A in there.
He's used to people messing up his name, I'm sure.
You think so? You think so?
Yeah.
Really?
Because it sounds like it's not Johan. It's Johan. How many people messed that up? Come on, Spoons. Too many. Right. Ooh, I didn't load. Why didn't that load? Please solve this for me. What's this, please? If I tap one of the widget in 8 areas, I remember this actually being brought up in one of the other forums somewhere. This might have been on the Flutter community Slack, actually.
Yeah.
If I tap on one of the 4 areas, oh yeah, sorry, I'm bringing this up the screen. That would be helpful.
Yeah, that'd be handy. You're just talking right now. Now we're looking at tiny text. There we go. All right.
So here we go. So please solve this. If I tap one of the 8 areas of my app and navigate to page 2, if I tap on 4 of the areas simultaneously, I use 4 fingers to tap with. I want to navigate to the secret page. Let's pick 1, 2, 5, or 6 as the secret tap apps. Okay. Let's have a quick look, brief thing here. Okay. Page 2. You have a secret page. Done with routes. Okay, secret page. You do not want to put cases in. Do you know what you want this to be lowercase? I'll tell you right now, lowercase these. You don't need the slash at the end. These are put in browsers and external to your app. The route names are normally, and in that case, you can't control what other developers do with your text. It's always prudent to keep things lowercase like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, just randomly commenting there, but yeah, you know. Right, yeah, okay. So 4 with different touch areas. We can get this working for you. Oh, missing commas. Yeah. All right, we'll do a bit coding on that. We won't do it right now. Let's get through. We're just going to power off the questions. We'll get to code. Otherwise, we will never end today's stream.
We'll do the other 12 questions now. All right, here we go.
We have some duplicates. So.
Okay. FCM sends messages to my device. Flutter local notifications picks these up in all 3 states. Terminated foreground and displays the notification. That's not a question.
It's the next. Go to the next one.
I see what happened here. Okay. Sometimes delayed by up to an hour. Ideas?
Okay.
Send it an hour earlier.
So, so all push messages have no guaranteed delivery time.
Right.
Full stop. They do not guarantee delivery. They do not guarantee time delivery. We expect it, but it does not guarantee it. So that's the first thing I want to say, right? If your app is not being utilized is not like a very popular app, it's probably lower down their chain of delivery. I'll be honest with you, they probably prioritize things internally, you know, like YouTube probably gets more of their FCM push time than, you know, third-party packages. I'm pretty sure of that. I don't know that, but I would guess that if I was building it as that company, it would make sense to do that, right? So I want to say that. Second of all, FCM messages that's sent as notification. That's when they have the notification segment to the push, and it contains like a title and content. Those are not handled by Flutter local notifications, full stop. They're not handled by your application, full stop. It goes into a background service inside that's shipped inside of the Flutter plugin, and they get delivered to the OS directly. Then when the user taps on it, it opens the app up and deep links into the app. This is how it also works on iOS as well, right? So just to be clear about that point. Now, what you can do, which I think is what David's doing here, which is you can send a data push notification. Data push notifications, they get picked up and they get delivered to your app in the background, and then it's up to you to then construct your notification to display to the user using Flutter local notifications, for example, and then displaying it to the user. Okay, so that's two things, right? Now, data notifications are probably going to be less prioritized. I'm using hidden FCM and use the package, which I think was what I was just saying, right? You're using the background FCM delivery, which is data messages. Is it a data push you're doing? We just have the data filled with custom keys. They are less prioritized to the ones with notification because they're displayed to the user. These background ones are not normally displayed, so they're not as important. You can set a priority to your push message, which also should change things. And there's also another thing to say. Can you go back to the point, the actual original question? Sorry.
Yeah.
Where was it?
Click.
No, next one.
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were saying about the delay. So what happens is mobile phone devices, they wake up every 15 minutes and they batch all their stuff into 15 minutes. They'll also wake up when you travel between Wi-Fi hotspot and Wi-Fi hotspot, or between Wi-Fi and mobile network. There's this, or plug it into charge. You may have noticed this yourself. You plug your phone into charge and suddenly you get a bunch of notifications all at once. Or you jump onto your Wi-Fi network and suddenly all your notifications come in. These are key moments in time when it knows that you're probably going to need your notifications, so they come through all at once. This is just the way to optimize battery usage, because before we did that, your battery would not last you the entire day, right? Because it was constantly checking for new notifications, essentially. It's a bit more complicated, but that you get that point. So what you're seeing here, I think this delay is probably because when you're sitting still, testing and deving, well, it doesn't come through immediately, right? Because you're not in one of those scenarios where your situation changed. If you actually using your app in a live situation, you'll probably find it will come through more frequently than that, probably once every 15 minutes because of the change in scenario. There's certainly nothing in the way the code works or the way the delivery service works that would delay it on purpose up to now, right? So I think you've just got maybe, again, it's during development that you're seeing this. The other thing I mentioned is if you're developing an app and you're doing background features of an app, especially on Android, you really need to build that app and actually have it running. It's really hard to actually debug that and run it in the background as it's running, because your app will go to a low power state and disconnect the debugger or something like that, or your phone goes into low power state and shuts the network connection down. I've seen that happen before. I've also seen there's various ways in which debugging background can be difficult, right? So just to say, it is problematic and what you're doing is difficult. However, as long as they're coming through, I would say you're fine. I would say build it and then test it in real world scenarios and see how it feels. Yeah, there you go. I've just worked on a lot. Oh, and Anton.
Anyway.
Hey, Anton. Nice to meet you again.
Yeah. So he's got a couple things to say here, and also this system treats background as low priority. Yeah. System doesn't guarantee the delivery. So yeah, it's just so the notifications are kind of like, I'm gonna throw this over here, and if somebody catches it, that's fine.
This was it. If it's background, it's deprioritized converted to foreground notifications, right? But then the foreground ones you don't get to control. They go essentially straight to the system, right? So the background stuff is more like telling your app, oh, the user needs to sync data, right? Like, or something. There's other reasons where you send like little data notifications. most of the time they're completely deprioritized because your foreground ones are you're trying to get the user's attention, so that it's different.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, enough of that. Let's go on to the
Yeah.
next thing here.
The
How
world of
about
push, crazy.
yes? And I don't know why this is part 1, part 2, because the 2 parts are unrelated, but I've marked them both, so it's 2 different questions. I always get these kind of errors at random times. It seems that every time a different solution. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, is there something leading into
Part one,
that question?
part one. Hang on. This is P1 and there's a P2, but hang on.
Yeah, there is a
I always
P2, but
get-
it's not related. Oh, I
think that's
typed them
the
in wrong
error.
order.
That's the error message that they're getting.
All right.
Randomly.
Oh, I get this error, and he's speaking forward. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense then.
Yeah. So there's a bit of code that you can add. You can just Google this. This is like a known problem. There's a bit of code that you add to your pod file, which loops around all the dependencies and sets their target iOS version to whatever you want. There you go.
Yep.
You know, you
Definitely.
get warnings.
Not tough. Just a little bit of shell scripting or a Perl script or a.
It's like it's part of the pod file.
It's part of the pod file. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't remember. Was it Ruby? Is it Ruby they use for pod files?
Ruby, yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Sadly.
But yeah, it's very simple. It's like 10 lines or something. You throw in there, and it just, like you said, cycles through and sets the version target for all of them so that they match.
To be honest, I actually haven't had to do that for quite some time. It may be worth MA. First of all, make sure you construct in, delete iOS folder, regenerate it to make sure you get the latest Flutter, because they have changed the way that the native code is being compiled. So that might be it.
Right.
Make sure you upgrade your version of Flutter, and make sure you've upgraded all your plugins and various packages, right? Before you start trying to override the package's behaviors, right?
Yeah.
I've not had to do this for a very long time. And if it's just a warning, ignore it.
Yeah. As long as it compiles, full speed ahead, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
I think it's a warning to say you should not be doing this. That you may be using maybe deprecated features in the future or something like that, right? So I think the key here is to make sure you're always up to date with the latest versions of all your packages, plugins, and Flutter itself. This is something that a lot of developers don't do enough. You should say, okay, once a week or once a month, I'm going through my dependencies. I'm making sure they're up to date, seeing what issues they've had, what bugs they solved. Oh, we've had that bug. Great, you fixed it for me. Brilliant. You have to stay on top of that.
Yep, that's part of being a programmer, right? I just asked how to hide Windows soft keyboard a while ago, not today, but maybe some earlier show. And you answer by using what I have in this just below, except you didn't put Q colon on your gist.
Guess what? They probably pasted a URL in the next comment, and it's not there.
Yep.
Just hashes only. Oh, is it just
the hash?
Just the hash, just the hexadecimal hash. But for entertaining, I think I remember this one, and that point was around soft keyboard, not Windows soft keyboard. It may be if you're specifically a Windows soft keyboard that you're having a problem with. I'm going to suggest that the actual integration with Windows is that still beta? I think it still might be considered beta. I can't remember. Has it come out into stable yet?
I think it's stable.
I think it's stable. Do you know what? I don't know. I have to remember. I would wonder if the way that the soft keyboard is being dismissed on Windows doesn't quite work that way, and it's an incompatibility or something.
Yeah. Oh, you know what's weird is if you just paste just the hash, sometimes YouTube flags that for conditional showing, and I have to go in and click yes. And I may have that may have happened to your hash. I'm sorry, but YouTube's really being a nanny state here, trying to take care of us. It just did that again. So here I am clicking show so that we can see the hash when it didn't see it now. Yes. Can you see it now? Hopefully you can see it
we've
now.
got it now.
Yeah. See, that's what happened. You probably said it earlier, and because it was just the hash, said, so Simon, now we're going to extend that notification. We're going to say, and you can't paste a URL, and you can't just put the hash of a gist. You got to say, hey, here's some random hex characters.
I can see how it can think it's like spam, right? Because a random set of letters looks like some spammy thing, right?
It does.
Yeah, focus manager, highlight strategy, always touch, and then text input. If neither of those work, I can guarantee that the text input hide, if that doesn't work, then that's an incompatibility with Windows integration directly. I would suggest that you call the Windows API directly to dismiss it, because you can do that. We could just quickly Google that. Hang on.
Yep. Yeah, we see it now. It's fine. Thank you. Free.
Yeah, I've got your code. Sorry, I was just looking at the gist.
Yep.
I'm going to ask Gemini, what is the Windows? What's it? Universal Windows Apps? And what's it called? UWA.
Yeah, UWP.
UWP. UWP API for dismissing the soft keymode. Let's see what comes up. There you go. Input pane, get current for current view, try hide.
We can't see that, but okay.
I know.
Yeah.
I could share that, can I?
I can see it, but it's really tiny.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Apparently you do that. So there is some I have a feeling that this just wouldn't work, because this get input pane, get current view. This is probably specifically to do with one of the other things.
There's some library you'd have to have,
yeah, Windows UI view management. That might actually be part of it. Hang on a second. Give me a second. I have an idea. Bear with me.
Well, he's doing that, Simon. Randall, you want to go to the next question?
Sure, because we get started on that one. That one's going to take forever.
Yeah.
Too late.
I mean,
too late.
So where is it? One time
it's probably being.
No, I know what I'm looking for. It's
yeah.
No, is it Windows? No. Damn. I swear it was here the other day, and the one time I want it, I can't find it. Hang on. API. Do you know what it might be? Repository. Packages. I am not having the luck here now. I know what it is I'm looking for, and it's right. Well, anyway, there is some code flying around that is not necessarily the Windows 32 API, but uses the new packages, the new UWP packages.
Yeah,
and those do support some of these, like the modern Windows APIs.
So apparently, he created his own keyboard and handled it on my own. Created my own window.
I mean, I would not recommend that at all. There you go.
No, of course not.
It works. Don't get me wrong, but I honestly, like, you'd be better off just telling the OS, shut your keyboard off, please.
Yeah. Find a new job. Go do something else.
I can't believe I can't find this.
Go do construction and watch the places fall over. Yes. Nah. I'm sure you're a great programmer. I'm sorry. We should be quiet. Hey, no more questions, guys. We cut the questions off about 10
let me
minutes
turn off the
ago,
banner.
so.
That's my fault.
I'll blame it on Simon then. All right. Come back in 167 hours. We will be here.
Stay around.
Yeah, stick around for now. But
bring your question back in 160.
For your new question, yes. For your new question.
All right.
Nice. Oh, here.
Right. Go on. Let's
keep
carry
going.
on then. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Juan
So
wants
this
to know
one.
about naming conventions for folders. Whatever you want that makes sense to you.
Yeah. There you go. Next.
Yeah.
Name it 0000011ILI11.
Well,
That's
so
a great name for a file.
seriously, I mean, like, there are some conventions if you're doing something like feature first, kind of stuff, or if you're doing MVC or something where there are some guidance. I'll say not guidelines, but guidance on how you should name stuff. Right? You have a views folder, you put your views in there. You have your models, you have your controllers. But in reality, it's organize it in a way that makes sense for you.
Exactly. Cool. Anything you want to say on that, Simon?
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I figured. All right. Here's one where Simon's going to think a bit. Is it possible to scroll a list smoothly with the mouse wheel scroll? Like a simple
Yes.
list with styles. It jumps on the scroll. It's confusing to follow content in the list.
Yes. So you're doing this on desktop or mobile? I guess you're doing this on desktop.
Yeah.
Is this on web or is this on web or on desktop? That's the kicker. I will grab my gist that fixes this very thing. I mean, look, there's lots of ways of doing this, right? The problem here is a scroll wheel event from an OS is a singular event. You don't get a velocity of scroll from the operating system. You just get they scrolled up, they scrolled down. And in the operating system, you can define how many lines they scrolled up and down, which is normally 3, I think it is by default. So even when this is the same problem you get inside of IDEs. If you look at your IDE, it literally has options for line scrolling or like smooth scrolling. Like smooth scrolling should not even be a thing anymore, but it's still like some option that it has to be turned on. Each application has to do it differently, right? So this is not, first of all, just trying to explain this, preface this is not a, Flutter specific problem, right? This is generally
and he says web.
Yeah, I've seen this before on web. So what you want is my smooth scroll thing, and I can't find it. So apparently, hang on, I'm going to share this actually. So where am I? There I am. So when you're searching gist.github.com, you can now do use my username, user s.lightfoot, and then you can search for something. And look, smooth scroll. There it is.
Yes. If you're looking for anything, Simon probably has a gist for it.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, but this is the thing. You can actually just search that, and then you'll find all my gists. There you go.
Wow.
Mhm.
334.
Blah, blah, blah.
Wow. That's
Anyway,
331 more than I have. All right.
Yeah. So this is the one you want. I'll post this in the chat. Yeah.
Problem solved. Next question.
He probably has some more repos than I do too. Like by far.
Yeah.
I only have like a dozen repos.
Do you know what bugs me is when I see someone's GitHub profile, it says like 1,000 repos. You're like, oh wow, they've been busy. All forks. And
with nothing done to them, they just forked everything.
Yeah,
and
they
they
just
just
fork
sit there.
everything.
Yeah.
Nice. Hey, I should do that. I could get repos that way. I can increase my count. And if somebody asked me, "Can I see your work?" I would just point them at my GitHub and say, "All of these."
People do.
Yeah, I did Flutter. I made Flutter. Yes.
Uh-huh.
I can't.
I think this next one is one Simon can answer.
Is it?
Let's see here. A 3D
They
what?
want to draw 3D objects.
Yeah.
Yes. There you go.
Is it possible? Sure.
Yeah.
Best live.
Yeah. You can do it.
Live.
You can just do it with some matrix multiplication. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
being really facetious there. So
use the matrix.
Honestly, I don't think I can recommend a particular. So let me be clear about this. Hang on. Let me open it up just so people can see what we're talking about here. I still have this pinned post. Why not? Here you go. So I did this in this is done in, is that sharing the whole thing?
Yeah,
I see it.
Yeah. So that's done in Flutter, right? All the rendering and everything. Right. So
that's a fun game to play, by the way. It's a great game.
Yeah. And there you can see some of the development side of things happening.
Yep.
Anyway, so all the 3D stuff is possible, right? So there you go. Is it possible? Yes. That is all drawn with CPU and software, right? Well, sorry. Okay, let me be clear. The calculations for the 3D are done in CPU, and then the resulting two-dimensional triangles that you projected. This is how 3D works, believe it or not. Even all your modern 3D graphics, it all converts to essentially 2D triangles, and then they put each of the pixels of the 2D triangle through a fragment shader, and that's how you get your magical GPU parallelism working, because every little core can be running a calculation for each of the pixels independently. So you know, anyway, right, sharp. Right. Point here being that you can do all this, but you don't need to. So they've just been releasing, and in fact, I'm going to be working on this as well when I get 5 minutes, which is Flutter GPU. So I don't think it got renamed from Dart GPU, I think it was, to Flutter GPU.
Web GPU? Web GPU?
No, this is Flutter GPU.
Okay.
So this was announced as part of Impeller. And I will post this article in the chat. This is from Brandon DeRossier, who is the lead developer on the 3D stuff inside of the GPU. They announced this August, right? And this is showing you a way you can use the main channel with an Impeller-enabled build to actually start doing really cool stuff with 3D.
Wow.
But this is still early days, right? So you can do like a triangle.
Wow, no. Three sides.
I'm trying to talk you through a bunch of stuff.
Wow.
But anyway,
Two colors, inside and outside color. Ooh.
Triangles in 3D? Never.
Yeah, let me see if I can. Here's how you color your screen. Here's how you get a triangle. And then you can start doing stuff like this, like loading cool 3D models and fun stuff. Anyway,
Giant Flutter logo.
I will post. I'll post this, and if people are interested, they can work through it. But it's a long article. It's complicated. You need to understand. There you go.
Right.
You need to understand some stuff around 3D. This was showcased. Was it last year? I can't remember. This like the game.
Yeah.
And this is based on the Flutter Scene, which is a pub package, which gives you an API, essentially a widget API around 3D objects. Cool. Let me see if I can find it here. Hang on. Yeah, this is it. This is it here. So let me just pop this up. Flutter Scene. I'll pop this in the chat as well. But this is basically there's a code example down here somewhere, this is like the easiest way to do it. But again, early preview, be warned, this is not like it's not supporting all the platforms yet, right? Everything else. And you need to, I think, compile C code with it. I can't remember. There's native assets. There's a bunch of stuff. Where's the example? Example apps. Yeah. I want to see if I can show you what this kind of looks like. Logo. This is probably going to be boring. Let me make it bigger. There you go. So this is just here's just a widget, right? Create a scene. You can load your models up and add them to the scene, right? And then further down, you get to clean up the scene. And when you go to build, you make a custom render with the scene painter. And inside your paint, you can set up your camera and then tell the scene to render using that camera to that canvas. That's it. That's as simple as it gets. So it can be nice and simple. This is using the scene API. This is not using like, this is basically the idea about this is about rendering 3D objects relating to each other in a scene. And this is how I did a port of the Wipeout 3D code using the Flutter Scene API for iOS Impeller for them to demo. I could probably dig out the video somewhere, but yeah, it works. You can do all that kind of stuff. And basically what you do is you update the position of your objects in 3D space, and then it renders it to the scene, which is what all those games you just saw are using, which is a really nice, simple way of building 3D games.
We just need to hook up the Minecraft API so that people can like do Minecraft and Flutter rendered 3D objects and stuff. That'd be really cool. Probably somebody's already.
You could do that with that Flutter GPU Direct, yeah, for sure.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's an inspiration. Somebody out there that's listening to us, go do that. And then
what do you call it? How do you combine Flutter and Minecraft into one name?
Craft.
Fluttercraft? No, it doesn't have a ring to it.
Minor.
Mine Flut? Right, come on. Let's move on.
I can already. No, I'm just going to shut up. This one is a bit poorly worded, but I think I know what they're saying, and I think I know what the
Yeah.
answer is. Is Flutter working in a new state management? Blocks, GetX, RiverPod are all external. I think that you're asking, will the Flutter team come up with a primary state management? And the answer is they already have, because you have things like value notifiers and value listenable builders and things like that, and set state and all that stuff. Those are already there in the core, and they do work. What something like RiverPod does is it brings more features, more flexibility, grander scale things to that. And the Flutter team deliberately didn't go that far with what they did because they knew that we would invent things out here, out in the real world, to do what we wanted to do. I think it's an appropriate division of labor that we don't have the Flutter team working on every possible thing we could want. We actually can, as a community, come together and say, hey, how about RiverPod? And then we all use that instead. It's nice.
There's also it would be so burdensome for the team to actually be what's the word? Maintaining every possible thing, right? So this is one of the reasons, again, we were talking about this earlier about merging stuff to Reaper. They don't want to accept a bunch of stuff because suddenly they have to maintain a bunch of stuff, right? So
right. There's all sorts of breaking changes rules that you come against. There's all sorts of testing and documentation rules that have to be fulfilled for any patch to be accepted into the core, and that maintains the quality of the core. It's not just a bunch of people's commits. It actually is a commit that has some serious documentation testing, interfacing, things like that, things that will minimize breaking changes in the future. So very important there. I think this question coming up next is something we sort of already answered. How do you get a good job? Oh, sorry.
So, and I threw 3 links. Oh, you go ahead if you want to talk about this one still.
No, go on.
Oh, okay. I threw 3 links in there if you guys want to share, and it's just 3 different places that you can find jobs for.
That you're talking about this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's a job.zip is a site that does Flutter as a specific category. LinkedIn, you can search just on Flutter. And then Dice is another one that all have.
Do they come across? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think
I kind of got screwed up, but you can figure it out.
No, they show up. They show up as, I mean, there are 3 separate links in there. So yeah.
Yeah, but the last thing I think got kind of half.
You got broken. Something got broken.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's too long.
There you go. Fixed.
Okay. What I found is searching for Flutter keeps turning up in most search engines for jobs, gives me Android jobs and iOS jobs. And I go, I don't want to do Android or iOS. I want to do Flutter. They somehow alias Flutter to all of these other keywords.
Well, they're adding it into the description, but it's not the primary. So you do have to read through a lot of them to find it.
No, the word I've seen on at least on in LinkedIn jobs specifically is the one I'm most irritated about. You can search for Flutter, and there is no word Flutter anywhere in the description or the title or anything.
A keyword they're adding on the back end to the
Flutter
listing.
equals Android somewhere in their alias.
Flutter equals cross-platform Android and iOS, right?
Yeah, right. And so,
or it's just a search term, right? You get they list it as a tag or something, and it doesn't show up in the post, but
it's not. It's not easy to find a job, but with discipline, you can find jobs. I've made a living on Flutter since I went full in 5 years ago. So it's I'm getting there. It's cool.
I was going to say the other side of this is it is a lot harder in the US than it is in Europe. I will tell you that because the just in general, the Flutter pickup has been slower in the US, mainly just all the major cities, most of the major cities, like the big cities in America, shall I say, like San Francisco, California, New York, Chicago. I'm trying to name some other ones that I've completely forgotten, but they've all got like known Flutter meetups and companies that are using Flutter and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Like and anywhere where you've kind of got a group of startups are definitely going to be using Flutter. So
Yeah, that's the thing about the US is that a lot of the mobile market has already been, established, has legacy products in iOS and Android. And what I hear what they're doing mostly is they're converting their iOS and Android teams to being Flutter teams. And so they're not hiring Flutter people. They're simply converting their people to be Flutter people. And so they have an excess of people coming out going, now what do we do? Because we've been downsized. Because once you start with, 20 each of iOS and Android developers, well, I can't imagine how huge an app would have to be to have 20. But, then all of a sudden you only need 20 total people, not 40 people. So all those people are out of work. So there they are. And that's what you're competing against as you're trying to come in the door is all these people going out the door. Yeah. And it's not a revolving door very well. Anyway, yeah.
On that previous point, I wanted to mention this. This is a little less known widget, inherited notifier. I don't know it exists inside the framework.
Wow.
Yeah, an inherited widget for listenable notifier. It basically automatically updates its dependencies if the change notifier changes. So you can like put a value notifier or a change notifier into this. In fact, any listenable, but those work really well. And then it will automatically notify the children that that's changed. And yeah, it's a super easy way of saying, you've got built-in state management, right? You can depend on your widget. In this case, this inherited notifier, right? So whenever you call spinmodel.of, it's gonna depend on this widget. And when it's notifier that you passed in marks was it notify listeners, then it will rebuild all the child widgets.
Yep.
That's it. There you go. Look, there you go. And then you just put the angle in there. And then basically this is saying that whenever spin model changes, it will rebuild this widget that you're part of because that's the context that you passed in.
And if you're already using RiverPod, I have about a 20-line code chunk that will turn any provider into a listenable. That means you can drop it into stuff like this from a provider directly, which is actually great to bridge the worlds between the two because RiverPod uses provider listenable, which is an entirely different class than listenable.
It's a shame. It's a shame that RiverPod uses the same terminology like provider and notify. I think it's the worst thing.
Yeah.
If that wasn't the case and there was some like similarly come along, I reckon there'll be a lot more pickup of RiverPod. And the problem is it uses term provider, which is used in the original package provider, and then notifier, which is also part of the framework. So it's like understand the conception that these are different things is hard to muster.
Yeah, although the similarities kind of influence the naming being the same. So I can see that. And you would never use provider package and RiverPod package in the same thing. So anyway, I have a Dart and Flutter channel that I get to promote occasionally. I just put the URL in the chat. And I will be doing a video about this 20-line bits of code that is basically it's an extension on ref for the RiverPod people. And that turns it into a listenable. So you can use it with all these cool listenable things. In particular, the one that I really like to use it for is Go Router has a listenable hook where you say reroute me if the listenable activates, if it emits. And a provider doesn't fit in there. It's the wrong shape. So if you have a provider that has like your current user ID and you want to reroute based on your current user ID, you got to have somehow to get the X's looking like Y's to go into that hole. And this extension that I wrote does that really well. So there you go. All right, on to the next one. Let's see here. We did jobs. We're down to the second to last question. Any tips to implement a way of capturing when a user has viewed something on a page, including when they've scrolled to see it for analytics?
You can only capture when it's been shown, right? Maybe you don't know if they've actually viewed it.
Well, right. I could be doing this behind my head.
I'm gonna disagree with that because you can do that. What's the sensor on the front of the phone?
Well,
you
What's
it? If someone's there, you can kind of
eye
get
detection
detect.
and all that. Yeah,
Face detect. Yes, right.
Gaze, and where
gaze
they're
detection.
looking, but
There's like a gaze detection stuff now, right?
Yeah. But
right.
I mean, realistically,
yeah. But realistically, yeah.
How do you do that in Flutter?
So there's actually a first-party package called Visibility Detector. How about that?
Yeah.
Imagine
there
that.
we go. Yes.
By some Google people and
Small company named Google.
Yeah. So basically,
Yes.
you wrap it around a widget on visibility change of this widget. It shows it that now this widget's been visible and what fraction of the widget's been visible. So you can say once it's completely visible, then go fire off your your analytics call. Right? You can do that. There you go.
1726 of the thing has been shown.
Anytime capture these, yeah. I mean, when they scroll to this is what I would use, right?
That's exactly
and
what you
works is the way I would do it anyway, which is you get the render object, you work out the scrolling panel, how much is overlapped, what is the intersection rectangle, is it fully on the screen? Great, then they viewed it, right? And the other side of this is, Alex, you also need to look at maybe wrapping this up in a widget and you have a timer to make sure that they've maybe been on the screen for a period of time that you can say, oh, they've actually read it or looked at it or whatever it is. But this is all down to how you want to handle your analytics, and analytics is very app unique.
Yeah.
There is a great pattern though that was who mentioned it? It's basically the facade pattern, right? So always put don't ever call directly your analytics library. Don't ever do that. I'll tell you right now, you ask for create a facade in your app like analytics manager that has all your functions on, like report, user, scene, product, or whatever it is, and these functions can then be implemented by an implementation of that, and that can then call off to like Firebase for like, or you want to switch from Firebase to a different provider. Great, then just change that one file with the implementation to go off to the new provider, right? And you haven't had to rewrite your entire app, right?
There's no problem in computer science that cannot be solved by introducing a new level of indirection.
Yeah, indirection and abstraction.
Yes, something like that. I think that's the quote. It's something similar to that. I could probably find it in
abstract everything.
Yes, right. Yes, abstract your abstractions. That's getting really
Oh,
abstract. Yes, just think about thinking. Don't actually think today. Just think about thinking. Let's do the last question.
The one that
we'll
he saved for last.
Right.
Yes.
I have to clap for Matt. And those that haven't seen Matt's video on YouTube about his was it Choiceinator? No, what's it called? I've got the name of it now. Oh, he's gonna hit me. What's it called? Oh,
he's listening in the back. I think he said he's got us on to hear us in the background. So
yeah, so he's got like a little Raspberry Pi that's running Flutter Pi.
Decisionator.
Oh, and
I did. I saw that video. That's a great
when
video.
You press it and then it rotates around and it would like land on one of the, so you don't have to make a decision. You just press the button.
Matt obviously has seen both Phineas and Ferb and what's it called? Office Space, right? Jump to conclusions, Matt.
Oh,
and Dr. Dupenschmerz.
He's done it. He's done it for like a bunch of different things. You know, like what is your takeaway? What film do you want to watch, or what network do you want to watch, or whatever it might be.
Yes, or Chipotle. I remember. Chipotle
anyway, sorry.
Yes. So I can answer this question. I'm a RiverPod expert here amongst the three of us, probably. So I'm using the generator. I need to pass a value into a provider without creating a family. So there are three ways that values get into build, which is where you're creating and initializing your notifier object. It's either done through a family key because you're going to have multiple instances of that provider that only differ in some parameter being passed in. That's what family key is for. And then you have access to that in build. The second is you can ref watch or ref listen to some other provider so that if that provider that you're depending on changes, you'll also change in some way that's controllable. That's the second way. The third way is just accessing a global. In other words, somewhere there's shared space you're not counting on knowing when it changes, so it can be just a plain old global, or maybe like a regional, like something like a class variable or whatever. But those are the three ways to get things in. So either through the family key, because you're distinguishing it, through another provider, which can itself have its own initialization strategies, or just have a global. So that's the three ways. That's the answer.
I'm
That's a
going
wrap. Except for
to
code.
embarrass Matthew right now and say,
Well,
here's a link to the video that we were just talking about. And don't try and go there right now, but grab it for later because it's a good watch. I think it's a good watch. So
Yes. Oh, wait. Somebody thanked me.
it
Where?
answers
Right
this
there.
question perfectly.
Yeah. Yay. I did a job. I did a good job. All right.
I love the title that you put on the video as well, because it's like the total what's the clickbait? It's like, what was it? I saved my marriage using Flutter and a laser.
Yeah, that's pretty handy. Exactly.
Brilliant.
All right.
Brilliant.
All right. So we're done with questions.
Yeah,
It's up to you to do some live coding now, Simon.
Yeah, let's get things going. So we had we were talking about a couple of different things. There's a couple of gists that were posted. I'm going to grab those. We'll run them up and we'll see where we get to.
Okay.
Bear with. Right. So first one. Oh, we got a couple here. All right. Let's grab the first one and then I'll share my screen. Oh my god! Right. Too many things going on. Right. This. Okay. Hang on. Huh. I should have had this prepared. That would have been a smart idea. You need to do a sing and dance. Give it that dance.
Sorry, what?
He wants us to do a dance.
Oh, we're filling time.
We're filling in. We should,
Oh yes.
Dash dance. We need some music though for Dash dance.
Was that the Benny Hill? Right.
Is he ready? He's still not ready. All
right. The opening song and the closing song. No, it's not the closing song.
I thought we had done something goofy during the intro today because I was hearing it like doubled. Because I had a second window opened. Oh, yeah, the second window opened, and I didn't realize it, and all of a sudden, and it was like just like a split second behind. So
yeah,
somebody messed up the audio on us, and then I realized no, there's another window going.
Right. I've had that also happen actually just because of streaming, like a bug in StreamYard as well.
Yeah.
I used Visibility Detector to play video feeds with List View Builder, but now I'm facing some performance issues. Well, that means you're building something too much, doesn't it? So
yeah,
you should look into that.
He has an expensive build.
Yeah.
Right. So this was a previous week's code. Let's create a new file. Humpday.
Very tiny.
For what are we on? 11.
11.6.
Yep.
Oh, hang on a second, chaps. I've run out of battery. Just on time.
2 weeks and a day ahead of my birthday.
Right. So this person was having problems fading in chunks of Markdown or something in their app. So we're going to sort that out. Why did I do that? I don't want to do that. It's probably going to complain, I would have thought, but we'll find out.
Yeah, you get a few red marks in there. Something's not going to work.
Yeah, it's not going to compile. Right. Well, let's take that as a. In fact, let's just kill it. Kill it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's take this main function, stick at the top, because that's the wrong place for it down there.
What's the implication of it being a bounty by filled stacks? Does that mean the code that Simon's working on is one of the bounty questions?
That was a bounty by Phil. No. So Filled Stacks is a YouTube channel, and there was a bunch of bounties that were posted. And I'm guessing, are we saying that this is a bounty? Come on, people.
Yes.
So you're trying to claim your $200 bounty or $50 bounty from this. That's not the way we do things. I need to verify this.
Yeah. He says yes.
Yeah, but I mean, like what?
It's he
Oh,
says
already claimed. Already claimed by me.
him.
Oh.
Oh, okay. So then what? But I'm so confused.
Why is
So
he
what we're
working
doing?
on something?
So did he claim that he was going to fix it, or did he claim that he fixed it? And this is the fix.
I have no idea.
It wasn't. I want proper solution from Simon.
Oh, he wants to upgrade his solution to a Simon solution.
Well, I mean, is it so? Has this already got a solution in it, and it's just you just don't like it, and you want a review and see if we do it better? Is that what you're saying?
That's what it sounds like. Line 1 reference. Line 1 reference.
Fine animation. Yeah, but
I don't even remember a question like that. Oh, this came in as a hash. Okay.
yeah. Can you? Yeah, I can't remember what else. Anyway.
This is scroll down, he says. Well, what are you trying to
Yeah,
get us to?
We'll get there.
Okay. I don't know what the question to us is yet.
Well, I think the point is, how can I thought the idea was like, how can I make it fade in? But like, if he's already done it, like, I'm not.
He says scroll down for the video.
Right. Okay. Let's watch the video. I'm not. You're having chunks of basically chunks of markdown fade in.
Right.
Yeah. So
He said not this video, the second video.
This is what customer support in hell looks like. Two guys staring at a YouTube chat that's delayed by 10 seconds, talking to a third guy watching a screen.
I think there's a British TV show that I think the answer is, have you turned the computer off and turned it back on yet?
Yeah.
Have tried turning it off and on again?
Tried turning it off and on again, yes. IT crowd.
Yeah, I mean, let's just get back to this. Right. So this widget was series of markdown versions, highlighting differences between them. Interesting count is that previous text is currently showing a pulse animation, which is not required or expected behavior. The pulse effect should only be applied to the newly added portion of the text. The goal is to have the previous remain static whilst the new one changes.
Whole markdown is pulsing, he says.
I see it. It's very subtle. And when I tell you what the problem is, we've spoken to this on the feed before. I'm not even going to look at the code. I can tell you exactly what the problem is and what your fix is. Are you going to ready? This is. Are you reading my mind? Are you getting it? So.
Am I psychotic? Psychic?
So what you're doing is you're fading from transparent to black. Right?
Oh.
And transparent is not transparent. It is white that is transparent. Right?
Yeah.
Or vice versa, right? Basically, the transparent color has a RGB to it. It's not just the alpha value. So when you fade, when you do a tween, you're tweening the colors, which means you get a gray in between fading the transparent and not transparent.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had a show on that. We had a show where we talked about that.
Yeah. It's a very common problem to have.
Wow.
Should we try and fix it? I don't know if I can be bothered. Let's have a look. Yeah. Where are you changing colors? It doesn't help that your text color is not black.
Ooh.
Just saying. Oh, go away. Let's make it black so it's a bit more visible when it goes gray. now.
Oh,
Christian,
yeah, Christian.
says he had that same problem a week after we talked about it on the show.
And you're so glad. You're welcome, Christian. Welcome. Yeah, I love it when that happens.
Who says
I'm
we
not-
don't offer timely advice on this show?
Yeah.
It's timely. We
Yeah.
somehow it's a moment in time. We don't know whether it's ahead or behind of the problem you have, but this
And
is
you
a
can
very
always,
timely
always
show.
go back and watch it before you have the
Yes.
problem. So
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm not. To be honest, I'm not actually convinced that that's what's actually going to. It's. I can see what's going on, and I know what's going on. It is the same problem, but what you're actually having a problem is that you're fading out. This is the problem because your stuff is transparent. So let me explain what's going on. It's the same problem, different fault. Okay, so same symptom, different problem, right?
Yeah.
So do you see what's going on here, guys, on this code? Can you guys see that okay on yours? I know it's a bit small. I wonder if I can just move it over and make it bigger, slightly bigger. So what's happening here is that you've got a stack, right? So the trick with making it look like just a few lines faded in, the trick behind that is that you display the old widget and then you display a new widget on top with a few lines added to it. So what it looks like is that just those lines get added, but actually adding a entirely new widget with entirely new text.
Yeah.
But what he's doing, let me get rid of that, is he's fading out one whilst fading in the other. Which means if you do a what's called this is called alpha multiplex, alpha multiplying, right? You've got these two widgets with different colors, all with half alpha each, which basically means they do not necessarily total black, right? You're expecting it to be multiplied black. That doesn't happen, right? So what you actually need to do is not fade one out. I mean, like, I don't know why you need to fade out one. Am I missing something here? Like, surely you can
because you're just adding, right?
Yeah.
So
there you go.
If you fade in, yeah.
Well, see, the thing is now what you're going to get here. Yeah, now it's actually doing so. Believe it or not, that has actually fixed it for the most part. Let me restart it here. What you will see let me see if I can make this bigger so people can. I don't know if you can see this. So now it's just fading in. However, if you look very closely at the edges of the words of the old text, it does that same flaring thing because some of the pixels around the text are transparent because of the anti-aliasing.
Oh no.
So you're getting it slightly on the anti-aliasing. And this is just because of the way that you're actually doing it. This is a trick, not the actual way of solving it, right? So I appreciate this. What you actually need to do is do what's called spans. So I've done this before. Let me have a quick look in here. I don't think this markdown widget actually does this, but let's have a look. So you normally pass the markdown. Okay, so a markdown widget is actually a list of children. Wait, what? Markdown widget. Okay, let's have a quick. I'm just having a scooch through this. I know this isn't like
markdown body.
Oh, inline syntax is inline box. Okay. I don't know if this markdown one even allows you to do custom widgets. Yeah, no, I'm just like looking here. Hang on. I know I've seen a few of these. It might be this one. Builder. Okay, so you got build gives you children. Yeah, so this is the node visitor. So this is actually going to be building the result. And was it the result of the build function gives you list of widgets. So this is actually building the here block elements in this case, right? And somewhere in this list, when it builds the elements, you're going to be building here we go, here visit element before. I've written a few of these myself. I wrote one for HTML, which worked really nicely actually. I think it's on my gist as well. Yeah, so this does actually do inlines. Let's have a quick look. You can tag an inline element. Can you do custom? Is there a way to like extract text from element, link handler? Yeah, so this is really a failure of how this is working, right? So what effectively you need to do. Where's the text? Hang a minute. Maybe I miss. Hang on. Extract text from element. Visit text. Here we go. Visit text. Trim the text. Okay, so what this is doing? Scroll bar. Why have we got what? Oh, pre. Okay, fine. Okay, here, build rich text span. This is what I was looking for. So effectively, what you actually need to do is have a custom span. So spans render the text, and you can choose what effects you want to put on that text, like painting in different colors and doing whatever the hell you want. Right? It allows you to do certain things, at least with the text. In this case, you just want to change the text color from being black to being transparent, and vice versa, and animate it. So actually, all you actually need to do is have a custom span. The thing is, the rendering of the spans is all probably out of your control. Hang on a minute. I just think you're in this enviable situation where you don't want to have it repassed, but the library you've got doesn't give you the hooks to actually adjust the way that this is working. For example, here, this is taking this is implying a style, implies a thing, it builds a text span. You've got no ability to put an inline span in its place. Inline span. Oh, hang on, maybe children. I think this is just their children. Span as text span. What is this? Merge inline children. Yeah, this is so it merged them together so that this can be done. This is bad. This is yeah. This is ugly. So this, by the way, this whole mess here is to solve a problem which they made by doing it wrong in the first place. When you pass the text, sorry, I feel I've been mean there, but I know this kind of thing up quite well. This type of passing and building stuff up. Basically, what they're doing is they're building up spans from blocks of text that they found, and then they want to join them together after the fact, because so they're merging. It's basically doing a fix up, so there's not so many spans in the output, which is nice. Don't get me wrong, and I would suggest it, but equally, as you build the text, you can be adding to the existing stuff, and then once you're prepared to actually make a span that you can't merge anymore, then you build your span and put that in your output. So it's there's a better way of approaching this that's more optimal. Anyway, but whatever. So I would go. The answer to this is make your own markdown parser and then fix the way it does text spans. In fact, if you want, I can show you how to do this right now without markdown in it, just so you can see how the effect works. Is there people interested in that? Maybe. And should we answer the other question and end on this? How's that?
Yeah, there we go. We can come back to this or do it next week.
Because I do like this. It's kind of an interesting topic, right? To do with like text rendering. I think people are interested in it.
The point I was going to make is when you looked at that and you said, it's an addition to everything you said. So when you looked at that and you saw that it doesn't have the right callback hooks at the right place in the parsing, I'm reminded of the fact that so many people want render paragraph to have callback hooks for like when it gets to end of line or when it's about to put the ... in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how often we construct these parsers that we don't think about the forward uses that we might want to have a hook here and a hook there, even if we don't ever call it ourselves, but to make it possible for some third party to come along and go, I want to know when something has tried to put ... in because I want to make that a widget. It seems to be a common problem, actually.
I mean, it's interesting you say that, right? Because I think there's a what would you call it? It's a known problem in programming in general, I guess, in the fact that you need to, if you want to make something for a library, you need to make it flexible.
Yep.
But then again, you don't want to be writing so much that no one actually uses as functions and features because you have to maintain them, right?
Right.
So and then it makes your job harder in terms of migrating the library, moving the library forward, because you have to maintain some level of compatibility with the code that existed there previously, right? So it's a case of, this is just naturally the natural programming thing where you start building something as a library, and then people add feature requests and things that come in, and you try and expand to feel the need rather than feel, try and just rethink of the options and just put every possible option in there, because that's also bad, right?
I'm thinking multiple times when this has come up in my many years of programming, that one of the things that sort of helps you to understand is why subroutines shouldn't be very long. Because if it's like a method in a class, you don't want to subclass it replacing a huge chunk of code. You want to subclass it replacing only a small part of the behavior. And so you should keep your class methods relatively small and relatively single functioned, so that subclasses actually have a chance of only modifying the behavior that they're interested in modifying. We ran into this when we were looking at a Perl library that we were going to use. And someone suggested, before I actually used the library, go look and recognize that the entire top level code is a giant 400-line subroutine. And I went, okay, let me go look at that. And my God, indeed it was. And I thought, there's no way I can sort of get in and just fix this part of it for one of my subclasses. And it led me to a whole different way of rewriting the same problem that became my own framework for doing this, that people found relatively elegant, because it was basically very, very short classes, like maybe 5 lines of code 3 or 4 times, and that's it. It did solve a very common problem, which in this case was doing CGI scripts in Perl. And so, yeah, that's some history for you from the old man here. Yeah. You kids don't know what
Get
you're
off
missing.
my lawn.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Turn that music down.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm listening to my own iPod. I'm sorry.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm in a park.
I'm gonna have to jump. I've got to do some prep for
Thanks,
a meeting
John.
in 15 minutes. So
Thanks.
Thanks.
We'll
See you next week.
again.
We'll see you.
Hopefully see you next week, John.
Yep.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
All righty. So you're going to fix this. How are you going to fix this? Or is it looking harder and harder as you continue?
No, it's fine. I'm just like trying to clean a few things up. So,
okay. Oh, right. You're writing your own code that simulates what you want to do.
No. That would be the other one. This is the other question. So
the other question.
This was the one where tapping on multiple areas at once wanted to open up the secret screen or something.
Yeah.
So here's this actually. Sorry, it just occurred to me. So, yeah, we can do this. Yeah. So first of all, we want it to open up when 4 areas are touched. You've got this touch area widget, which is when I tap on it, it goes to a certain page. And when what was the thing? If I tap on one of the 8 areas, it goes to navigate to. If I tap on 4 areas simultaneously, it will navigate to a different screen, right? So first of all, this is where it kind of comes down to. So we want to use a way of navigating first of all. So we use a navigator key. So it's all about lifting state up. Navigator state. And when I show you this, you'll be like slapping your foreheads. If people haven't figured out what I'm doing, they'll be like, that was so simple. Why didn't I think of doing that? And I'm like, well, that's
I'll probably slap only my forehead, not just everybody's forehead.
You can try, Randall. Run around the room.
No, I can't reach anybody. I can't reach anybody from my
virtual
underground underground layer here. Yes.
What was that? What was that virtual world?
Second Life.
Yeah, I would get one in Second Life. Slap them in their faces. Right.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Right. Okay,
Whack,
so
whack.
we want to say we'll enum. I guess we can enum this. I mean, you can just use integers. You can do something else, but we'll say first button, second button. Was it 4 buttons? No, it was 8 buttons, wasn't it?
Yep,
I can't remember.
a 4. I don't know.
1,
There might
2,
be
3,
8
4,
total.
5, 6, 7, 8. Any 4? It doesn't.
Imagine
Let's pick
so.
1, 2, 5, and 6. Oh, it has to be specific ones. Okay. Yeah.
Ah,
So we need to identify. Well, let's just do it with numbers then, right? Because it's easier, right? So we
yeah.
want to hold which buttons are down. So I have a buttons pressed or buttons, yeah, pressed. And this is going to be an array. We can be
No,
a
a
set, yeah.
set. A set.
Set, yeah. 7 integers, right? And we're
Yep.
just going to say void button down int ID buttons pressed add ID.
Yep.
And then we want to say check if magic happens. Actually, no, we want to do check if magic happened. Void button up int ID buttons pressed remove ID, right?
Yep.
And then I guess we want to say void default navigate. I don't know, whatever. I'm just really just doing this in a jank way possible right now, but it's fine.
The reason I jumped up and down there earlier with set is that so many people will do this with a list, and then they do all these contains and junk, and it's like, dude, that's what sets are. That's exactly what a set is for. It's unique items gathered together in a way that you can quickly determine membership and modify the membership. And I think it's because set doesn't appear in a lot of languages that people don't think of using those that way.
I'm just gonna be a nice person and move some stuff out of the main app here, but just for clarity, just to show people how you do this kind of thing, because is one thing write an example, maybe another thing about how you might actually deliver that example into an actual product was the wrong word, but yeah, that kind of thing, right? Yeah. Right.
And just to continue that thought for a second, I think I highly recommend that people completely read the Dart tour in the Dart.dev website. Even if you think I can just read parts of code and I know everything that Dart has, because you won't see examples of everything. The Dart tour takes you through most of the key things, most of the key concepts that you might not think are in the language, or might not think that there are ways of doing things that are sort of outside your experience. So definitely read the entire Dart, the Dart library, or not Dart library, the Dart tour. The other thing I highly recommend is that, especially if you're a beginner, go grab the API documentation and read through the core classes like set and list and iterable and what's the other one? Array? No, set. I know there's one more. Stream. Anyway, look at the core classes and look at their methods that you can call on them, and just scan that like once a month for a while, until it sort of becomes second nature. Oh, I can do this to a list, or I can do that to an iterable. And it'll start making a lot more sense to you as you're coding. And because these are used everywhere, it's good to really understand your core, where you can actually reach for things like the set add and set remove that you immediately typed is something that may not be there sort of implicitly in your mind, but once you've seen this enough times, you know that those are the methods to use. And so that's a way of, everybody's always asking, how do you get better at Flutter and how do you get better at Dart? I'm telling you the tips that I've learned over the years about getting better at anything in the programming area. And that's review the docs and do it with some frequency, especially as a beginner. Definitely at least skim everything. so that you have a sense that there might have been a keyword that might eventually trigger something for you to go back and read it in detail as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Manish has actually a comment on about the text spans and widgets. I think you might have seen that. You don't want widget spans, as it will put the content in a new line. So it won't. You can do widgets inline, I thought. Widget spans don't require.
No, they won't put the content in a new line. No, they won't.
Yeah. Because it's actually doing that already, right? Sort of. Isn't it building a bunch of widget spans or?
Yeah, I mean, like you can just, yeah. Let me finish this one thing.
Okay, sorry.
Cool.
And then, or you can keep talking. I'll let you keep
default actions. Well, no, sorry. Action default. I don't know. True by default enough. So if that's set to true, I mean, there's a bunch of ways of doing this. To be honest, I'm just trying to think if you go up, there's only one press. Yeah. So we can actually just do get rid of our and get rid of this default action. It makes things more complicated. Get rid of that, and then when we go up, check if only one button was pressed. And then we'll navigate to it, right? So, so this was final count.
Oh, so if you press 1 and you keep holding it, then you press 2 and then let go of 1, 2 will be triggered by this routine. Then
we'll get there in a second. Well, we can look at maybe some of the logic here, but
yeah. I'm not used to gestures in programming. Well, actually, I am used to gestures, but they're not here.
And then we say, let's add another little thing here. Say final magic buttons. And we're gonna say, actually no.
1, 2, 4, and 5, or whatever.
Right, get rid of our default action, don't do that anymore. Let me just say if buttons press contains all buttons magic, then we want to navigate.
You want it equals, not contains. Because what if I press down more buttons?
Yeah, but that's going to be no equals no.
You want equals. Oh, yeah, equals work on sets that are like simples.
They're not ordered.
It's not ordered, I know, but I think a double equals on a set. No, that doesn't do deep set equality. You're right.
Every. Oh no, you do every. We could do like contains.
You have to.
What are we trying to do? Oh my god! Right. You want to make sure that all. You could just give you the hammy, right? We were trying to make sure that all the buttons down.
Yep.
As soon as all 4 buttons are down, which is when buttons contains all of them. Yeah, that's right.
Right, but that also includes when more than those buttons are down. That's the problem.
Okay, and then we just check the length.
Or you know what? You could say contains twice, once with the forward and once with the reverse. Because if they each contain each other,
if you've got the same length and one contains the other one, then
yeah,
it has to have all 4, right?
That's the same equivalent, yes. It's probably what set equality does.
Okay, right. Anyway, so yeah, and then if only one button was pressed, at some point that all get cancelled, which is button up, which is different. So let's just say, let's just do void button cancel. We just do remove on that one, which is not an action user presses. An ID, sure. Right. Let's go let's go to where this has been used. Right. Right. So, well, I think that does it. Right. Let's run it and see if it works. He says, but then we need to put in IDs apparently. 1. Oh, and the magic as well. Yeah. Functionally, it's done. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, there's our 8 buttons, and then what else do we have in here? Yeah, sure, add the key. Yeah, yeah. Probably navigate a different way. I don't know. Do you know what? I don't even know why you've got the routes in there. Why do we have these routes? We don't navigate to these routes. We don't know those routes. I kind of feel these want to be named now. Let's just do this.
You're right. Double equals doesn't work if the sets are in different orders. You're right. It needs a deep equals.
There is a list equals. Is there a set equals function? I didn't actually check. Set. Yay! That's what we want. There you go.
Bazinga, as he used to keep saying.
Yeah. And watch, we're going to look in there and it'll be like, if the length is the same, identical, and then contains.
Ah!
It's the same thing.
But it loops. It loops and does each.
No, but it does the same. I was doing contains all, right? Which is the same
Yeah.
as this. This is contains all.
Right. That's great. That's
Right? The only thing we didn't do is identity match, which will never be. So
yeah.
and they're never
That's
going to be
great.
null. So yeah, it is the same thing. Cool.
That's
Good
great.
to know. Brains still work.
That's nice. That's good. Good job.
Good job, buddy.
Yep.
Right. So the magic buttons were 1, 2, 5, and 6. There you go.
Yep.
All right. So we've got our magic buttons. We've got our state. We can access that state. We can update that state, and we can navigate to the state because we passed the navigate key over, and it will set that. I think that's going to work. Should we try it out?
How do you do that in the simulator? How do you press all the buttons at the same time?
Oh, no, I actually have a real device. This is a
you got a real device. Okay.
Right. Real device.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't do the simulator because multiple taps do zoom in other gestures, right?
Right.
Let's see what happens. Right. So 1, navigate to page 2, go back. That's good. And then what was it? 1, I can't remember what I might.
1, 2, 5, 6.
Hang on.
1, 2, 5, 6.
I know. Okay. Hang on. See this. 1, 2, 5, 6. Ah.
Uh-oh.
Hang on. Let me try. Oh, wait. Did I change? I don't think I changed it. I think I copy pasted it. Hang on. I did. It did actually work. This is a secret page. There we go.
Oh, it went to the normal page. Oh, that's great.
In fact, these can be put back to how I had them, which was without routes. I mean, although this doesn't really make that much difference. I just prefer it this way.
Wow.
Hey,
So
first time.
Rustam, what is the function of the week? Oh, would probably contains or set equal.
Right.
Probably.
So let's see. 1, 2 on their own. Go to page 2. Now 1, 2, 5, and 1, 2, 5, and 6. Secret page.
Oh, this is clever. This is clever.
Right.
Oh,
so for those who just reviewed this, for those people following along.
Yes.
Who we got here? Right. So what we've done is, let's just hide button state for a second here. So what we've done is we've made our top level app widget stateful. So this now contains a set state. We need to navigate within that state. So we're going to pass over a global navigator key, right? This does not necessarily have to have a context attached to it. We treat it as such, but that's fine. That navigator key, the global key that holds the navigator state, that's being passed over to the Material app. So that once the Material app creates the navigator, we get that navigator state accessible to us, right? Whoops. And then further down, when we're making our widgets, our touch areas, our buttons, we want to give them unique ID so we can refer to them to know which ones have been pressed. And during the stateful pressing of those buttons, down, up, and cancel, I'll explain cancel in a second, down and up, what we want to do is ensure that that state is reflected in our top level state. We've brought the state up, right? So now the state's not only just for that one button, it's for all the buttons combined. What we could do, I've just put this up to the app level because I'm just an example, but what you could do is just wrap all of these in a widget called like Button State Manager or something, right? And all its job is to do this, right? To manage the state of buttons. And that way it's not at your top level crowding your global app state, right? Anyway, I defer. Don't worry about that right now. So inside of app state, we made a static function here, which goes up the tree to find the ancestor state, in this case, my app state. And then it retrieves the button state variable for the private button state variable from that. So this way, this variable, the state, can be accessed app wide. This is good and bad. So at the moment, this is not typically a problem. And that is because find ancestor of state of type does not, it goes up and traverses the tree every single time that function is called, right? So there's maybe, it depends on how deep your button is in this case, maybe it's like 200 widgets down in the tree. It has to iterate 200 times in a loop to find it, right? If you do that suddenly on every frame, on every build, it adds up. That's why we use inherited widgets, right? I'm not going to put an inherited widget in here, but that, for example, a good example of this was that inherited notifier we showed earlier. You could use that in its place. And that would also then automatically link up and rebuild the widgets when state changes, and it would not have to have this problem. Yeah.
Right.
Equally, this isn't a problem with what we're doing because the buttons are pressed only like down and up only happens on input from the user. So it's not automatic, and it's only happening occasionally and not automatically every frame, hundreds of thousands of times. That would be a problem, right? Because it would add up, right? So in this case, I'm perfectly fine with that being in the app forever. You know, like it's not going to cause any problems, right? Okay. So back to the buttons. So as I said, when we, let me scroll down, when we press down, so we tap down, it's going to do button down with the ID, and that records that that button was pushed down. We want to know when 4 buttons are pushed down, not released. 4 buttons are pushed down because when you release at different times, right? That's why down is very important. So we look and see if all the buttons that are pressed down match the ones that we previously set were our magic buttons. If they are, then we can navigate. As soon as you navigate and pop that widget, all those button downs, because the buttons are being removed from the widget tree, they will get cancelled. The inputs get cancelled. This means that this button cancel method will be called, and those IDs are now removed from that top level array. If you do any stateful changes based on taps, always implement cancel. Cancel can happen because like a notification popped up or something else took the focus away from the user, and their touch was cancelled on that widget that you were in. If you don't do that, buttons are left highlighted when they shouldn't be highlighted, and weird things like that can happen. So always implement the cancel if you're going to implement down and up independently or whatever, right? Okay.
That also includes if the user holds the button down, but then taps somewhere else, then releases. I think that also does a cancel.
That does actually. That's a good point. I think actually it's an up on. Let's have a look. Let's try it. I believe that's not a cancel. This is up ID. Let's have a look. Up ID. Down ID. Cancel ID. So what we're talking about here is traditionally on a UI system, you only action a button press when someone lets go of the button and their finger is still in the button or their mouse is still on the button. This way, what actually happens in traditional systems, and this has saved my bacon so many times, you go like send an email, you click send, and they go, oh, I didn't want to send it just yet. You move your mouse off the send button and let go. It doesn't send it. It's magic. This is like standard practice for all you. If now I've told you this, if you didn't know this, you're going to realize that all the buttons on your Mac do this, all the buttons on your Windows machine do this, or whatever. Right? This is default behavior.
Yeah.
It's really handy, right? However, yeah. So look, if I tap on, let's say I'm going to tap on 7, down, let go, up, and navigated. Fine. And then let's clear the screen. I'm going to tap down on 7 and then scroll down. There you are. Cancel. If you notice, up wasn't pressed. I think it up.
Right.
Moved the fact I moved out got the cancel. I never gone up. Yeah.
Right. But I was talking about a gesture of where you hold down 7, you tap 8, and then let go of 7. That should also cancel
so
7.
hang a minute. So hold down 7, tap 8, then what?
Then let go of 7. Let go. You tap 8 by letting go of 8.
Huh? Hang on.
So yep.
Let's start this again. Right, go on.
Down on 7.
Tap on 7. Yeah.
Hold on 7. Tap on 8. Just tap on 8. Then let go of 7.
You're going to get canceled because they're events, right?
Well, I thought that kills the up on 7. I guess
It would have done if we'd navigated on that, right? Hang on. We navigated on. Anyway, that's a good question. Hang on. Let me just check that again.
Yeah.
Right. 7, tap on 8. It didn't navigate.
Oh, interesting.
And then let go and navigate. Because we only navigate when there's 1. That's the reason why I did it like that, right?
Right. Huh.
That was the protection I had in there for that exact scenario.
Okay.
Because we only want to like navigate when one button's pressed. I could if I remove that, let's have a look.
I'm trying to think of what I do though. Sometimes I hold a button down, I don't want to release it, and I can't move off of it. I don't know why I can't move off of it.
Then yeah, if you can move off, you can cancel like that. If I now do
remember
what you just said, hang on.
Okay.
7 down, tap 8, and it navigates now. But look, 7 got cancelled.
That's what I'm remembering. Yeah, is that,
we can leave that in there. That works just the same now that we've implemented cancel.
Yeah.
But because we only want to. Yeah, that works.
Okay.
So, no, the reason why we don't want to actually, no, the reason why I put the in check in there was that we've already started navigating. Let's have a look. Let's see what happens now if I do 4, because I think that was what was the numbers again? It was
1, 2, 5, 6.
1, 2, 5, 5, 6. 1, 2, 5, 6. And then look, 6, 5, 2, and 1 got cancelled.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because because we navigate.
Oh yeah, you're still holding them down, but you're on a different page now. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's fine. That works. All right. Well, anyway, so that's a slight improvement.
Cool.
But yeah, so in general, let's just comment those out.
Yep.
So anyway, the point here is we're effectively building up a what would you call this? Combined gesture, I guess.
Yes.
So now, anyway, so the point here is that when all 4 are down and they've got the match, it navigates to that, canceling the previous ones. If you press up, it navigates to page 2 without canceling those. Anyway, there you go. So it's not as, there's weird and funky things you could do in terms of not use Inkwell. You could like make a custom widget that does some funky thing inside, render objects that handles touch. You could do a bunch of things, but really what you're trying to do, this does the job, right? Like you don't need to like make anything weird.
Now add in that it only works when the phone is face down.
Yeah.
So you have to do it from the bottom.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Super secret buttons.
You can actually do that kind of thing as well, which is what's crazy.
I know. Well, that's why I said now we add that, or whistle a particular tune. You have to whistle a particular Brahms sonnet or whatever, right? And make that happen. Yes.
So we should be able to post
How
our
many
changes.
factor authentication is that? So we got 4 fingers and a whistle tune and an orientation. All we need is at a relative altitude GPS wise. It only works in my house. That would be cool. A lock on a phone function that only works at a certain GPS range.
Oh, well, I mean, they do that, right? Like they do that. Since you can look at the RSSI and look at what is the signal strength, so you know that you're close to something. I've seen that.
Yeah.
All right, that is the answer that's posted.
Okay. We got a
Johan,
gist.
I
We have a
I
gist for
can
that. Johan.
post it in the chat. There you go. That's on its
Johan
way to you.
Schiepers. There we go.
Right. The other thing we're talking about was the fade. Should we go back to fade and show how you do like custom fadey things?
Sure. We should wrap up pretty quick. It's getting close to the top of the 3rd hour or 4th hour.
This should run quick.
Okay.
I'm confident
do it.
this
Let's do it.
is relatively short, and then we'll wrap up. So we're not going to use Markdown because that's a whole different thing. But you can do this without Markdown just as well, right? So let's figure this out quickly. So Markdown versions. This is like it just adds the same sentence over and over and over again, doesn't it? Kind of.
Yeah, it adds words to the end. That's all it's doing.
Yeah, I mean, we want to identify the difference and fade this bit in different to the one above.
I think you can compute adding a word at a time. So start with the whole sentence and just split it and add it.
No, I was going to say just simplify things. Why just append this sentence over and over and over again? Because this is one phrasing, is it? This is one different sentence.
Yeah, it's just one thing. It's just adding the words.
All right. Well,
it's adding phrases. It's adding phrases.
Yeah. Let's run this up and then go from there.
Like an LLM does.
Yeah. I mean, you can diff it, but then you just don't need to do that. It's just annoying.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to do. All I'm trying to do is a simple example.
They're trying to be annoying. Apparently, they'd rather have it plop in like that, like it's working hard. It's supposed to be on a paid-for application where you want to prove to people that it's actually worth it because it's thinking hard.
Right. Let's look at this. I'm just formatting the way I like it. Right. Previous text, current text, new text. Yes. Update text. Sure. Yeah. Find new text. Oh, you're actually doing this already. Why? What? Yeah, you're finding all the text that was added to. Okay, that's nice. Why did you actually do this? Because you weren't using it, were you? Oh, because you're adding it. Oh, whatever. Right, I'm not even going to go there. Right, let's just carry on with what we're doing, and then you'll see what we're doing.
New text is just for help. Current text will do the job.
Yeah, well, we're actually going to completely. Yeah, well, you'll see. Right, so. So you've got animated builder. So let's say this is it doesn't need to be a column. Why have you even got a column in here? You don't need a column. Remove that. Remove expanded, not needed. Right. So we've got padding, and then inside that padding, we're just going to have a text widget. That's simple. Text widget. Bosh. Come back. You just want to piss me off. Right. We'll come back to all that in a second. Right. And our text widget is going to have previous text plus new text right now. I'm running the wrong code. I'll just run this. Right. What else do we want to put in here? So we need to do text.rich. And then we're going to say it's text span. And said text span has children. Each of those children are a text span. And said text span has a style and text style colors like red. Text. New text. Let's just do new text. Previous text. And then that should do what I want. So let's just start this off. Right. So new text is that. I hit the button. Old text is black. New text is red. See that? Do it again.
Nice.
New text is red. New text is red. New text is red.
Just need to dissolve it now.
And it's wrapping nicely and everything else. And all is good.
Cool.
Right?
Cool.
Nice and simple.
Yep.
Right. So now we've done that. Let's wrap our animated builder in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Oh, I just said that. Some people.
I said that. Are you not listening to the stream? Because I do say things. I have the sound turned off specifically because of Randall. Yes.
I wouldn't blame them, Randall.
That's right. Neither would I.
Right.
My
okay. So now we've got that. We can now do fade value. And now we can say the new text is going to be, was it colors dot lerp? Color dot lerp. No.
Yep.
Colors dot black. Colors dot transparent. Did us do it? I don't know. Let's find out. Oh, I did it the wrong way. Faded the wrong way.
It comes in and it fades out right away. It runs away.
Right. Yeah.
Run
Fades in. Tap. Fades in.
Oh,
Fades in.
lovely. Lovely.
Look at that. Oh, isn't she a beaut?
Yes. Is it showing
It's
any
magical. I did not need any
anti-aliasing
craziness to
thing?
do this.
Right. Right. No anti-aliasing problems either. So that's
I don't know
all
what.
done.
I don't know what. Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, Ray's here. Okay, Ray. We'll do the HB2 thing briefly.
Okay.
Anyway, I want to post this. So where's that previous one? And we'll post this so people can get the wisdom of this fix, I guess. Isn't there a damn it, wasn't there a oh hang on, I'll put it on the wait, this one here,
already
right?
Already a gist. Yep. It's gonna post it as a comment on the gist.
No, I do a fork and then modify it, right? And that way we get
right. Okay.
Sold by.
Sure. Cool. As interpreted by Simon.
Yeah, exactly right. I don't know. Just to kind of get it going. And what's today's date? 6th.
Or like those autobiographies that are as told to somebody. Yeah, I kind of wonder who did most of the writing. not the guy that says he's got an autobiography. It's probably the only way mine's going to get done. I keep having a task to eventually write my autobiography, and I haven't got around to it yet.
You know what you want to do what other people do. Just make notes and leave them, and then when you knock your clocks, someone's going to find them and write a book about you, and you didn't have to write anything.
Yeah, actually, and most of my life's already public anyway. So if you just go back through my Facebook posts,
there you go. Just look at all your Stack Overflow solutions, right? Yeah.
Right,
dude, I've just found. Oh, dude, write just one, work on the text, but write one word answers. At the end of each answer you post, write one word, and then you have to combine all the words.
No. Oh, that'd be horrible. That would be
It's
like some
the
amazing
secret
puzzle.
biography of Randall.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, that'd be funny. Put it in the comments. Put one word each in each of the comments.
One word each as it goes.
In my in each of my YouTube postings. So you have to view all the YouTube postings in the right order, and then get the right comment and get the right word. Yeah. No, I don't have anywhere near that much obsession. I can't do that. That's stupid.
So what was I doing? Yeah. So if we run up a HTTP2 server here, and then I set up a and do Perl --v. I'll make this bigger, and we do HTTPS localhost. In fact, I want a K in there. I think I'm running anyway. Localhost. That's 443 by default. That'll make a request to the local app. I'm going to show you. I'm going to remove my fix just so you can see what was happening. So basically, when I was sending my response, I forgot to add the status header, and not adding because you don't normally send that HTTP1 because it's part of the response, if that makes sense. It's now actually a separate header. You only have headers and data in HTTP2. So if I don't send that, obviously the system that's actually, making the request doesn't receive a correct response. So you just get this protocol error. Great. And then, it doesn't help you. Like, it just tells you, you look at this crazy number and think something strange is going on. This is a -1. And you just say protocol error. Like, it doesn't tell you missing status or anything, right? I actually did, I used Chrome's debug tools. There's a plugin I've got for HTTP2 and 3, and it has debug tools, and it tells you the entire, all the packets of there going back and forth, and you can see what's going wrong. And I've clocked it from that. So now if I hot restart this, well, I can't hot restart, but yeah, restart that. Now if I make the request, hey, I got the data. Hey, connection done, left intact. So I think if what was the echo? Is it echo tests? I can't remember. Oh yeah, am I just putting the headers? I can't remember what I'm doing now. So yeah, so -bv gives you all the verbose, so you can see what you're actually doing. I gives you the output, so you know the headers for the outputs, you know what you're getting, and then K is ignore insecure certificate because I'm just testing stuff. Now what was I swear I had a handler in here. Log requests, I think. Oh, message. Here we go. Echo message. I thought that was it. Oh, look at that. Well, either I'm not echoing it back or it's not working. Ooh. Well, it completed successfully, but I don't see the body. So I may have made a new bug in my in my going around things. Hang on. Let me just check something while we're here. I'm going to just close. That should be seeing data there. Request is coming in. It's doing a head request. Head request? Oh, it's only doing head. Okay. There we go. Okay. So sorry, it's a bit small. Yeah. So echo testing. And, testing back. So sorry, the -I, capital I is just do a head request, include the headers. If you do a lowercase I, it's give me the body and headers. Anyway, if you didn't know your curl foo, now you do. There you go.
Curl has something like 250 parameters, so it's really hard to keep them all memorized. So the only one I remember is -O. That's the most important one. Curl -O.
Yeah, for output, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, there you go. So this is actually posted on my gists. I fixed the previous post, Ray. So if you go look at my previous one, I edited the gist and put the fix on there. And And then I just optimized the output on the output here using a wait for in a stream with last. And this just gives you record setback so that you can fill in the last stream parameter. And that's just done with this nice, well, interesting little function. So anyone work out what that's doing? It's an interesting one. So an async star routine returns a stream.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. That was fun.
Keeps the previous data in buffer.
Yep.
If there is previous data, then it will output that previous data in the next iteration of the loop. So the first iteration just saves the buffer. The second iteration of the loop outputs the first one and saves the second one. So at the end of the loop, you've got a trailing buffer. And if you have a trailing buffer, then you yield that with the last flag true. So basically, it's one frame behind in the stream so that you know which one is the last one, right?
Yep.
A little bit of logical deduction there. And that way you get this nice output where you've got I use records on the output. So you can have like buffer is last, and then they can feed straight into something like this, like send data, where it needs the last flag. Yeah, and then you have it. So this code is up on the gists. Just search user slightfoot and you'll find that. Oops.
Right. I do want to say the reason I knew that curl has something like 240 parameters is I got to talk to Daniel Stenberg, the author of curl,
nice.
Curl, on my other show, Floss Weekly, which I used for 13 years, but now I'm just a guest host from time to time. And Daniel was actually on a Floss Weekly 19 years ago. So it's great because we got to talk to him twice on the show, but 19 years in between, 16 years in between, 16 years in between. And he talked about curl and how he's added. I didn't know it could do IMAP and a bunch of other protocols. Pretty much every major protocol is in curl.
Yeah. So when I do, but I never use it for that. I always use, like, to be honest, that makes sense. What's the OpenSSL S client is the secure client in OpenSSL, right? Yeah. That's basically what I always use for things. But I did actually notice. Hang on, let's see if I can load this up. Yeah, here you go.
Curl know how to do all that stuff. It's really amazing stuff. Really amazing.
Let me.
And he had an ABI or API change in that length of time either. It's like the longest ABI lock-in, even though it keeps adding more and more functions over the years.
There you go. Even mine's considered 2020 at the moment. But look, all the various protocols it supports.
He added Gopher over SSL because somebody wanted.
And then look, there's all the different various features. And this is the reason why I use this version. I've got HTTP2. I need to do a new build with HTTP3. So
it's just insane. It's and the guy's amazing. It's one of these guys that takes it granted, not really takes it for granted, but like, you know how Richard Hipp is so cool about SQLite. He goes, it's just everywhere and people use it. And that's just a cool thing that I did. And he's the same way about libcurl. It's like, you know, it's probably installed in pretty much everything that's got electrons. And I said, so is there a SQLite to libcurl mapping thing? That would be cool. You know, can you make a SQL query that actually triggers a FTP fetch or something? That would be.
I will say, did you hear? You just reminded me. Did you hear about the bug that was found in the SQLite recently?
No.
Okay, so it's not as bad as it sounds. Basically, Google DeepMind, they've got AI tooling that they've been making to find bugs in software.
Okay.
And they ran it over a bunch of open source projects. They ran it over SQLite, and they found the actual SQLite executable, not the library. So when you run SQLite on a command line, actually had a buffer overflow exploit basically in it. And
wow, cool.
And it's just like that's like been around for ages and no one's spotted. And that's what AI is for. That's a perfect, brilliant use case that you think you found something, you can then go in there manually, check it out, verify it, and patch it, and more secure code, right? Awesome.
Much more likely to find it than 100,000 monkeys at typewriters. So
I know, right? Like at some point we'll make Shakespeare. So
yeah.
Thank you everyone for joining us for another Humpday Q&A. Hope you had a good time, found stuff interesting, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Facebook and whatever it is, and all that kind of stuff, and find us around on Twitter and oh yeah, and we have a Patreon. Help us support us on Patreon. We'll see what we can do, and yeah, all that kind of fun stuff. And we'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye-bye.
165 hours from now.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.